key like the mo jig 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 jig. I'm low key like the mo jig jig jig. I'm low key like the mo jig jig jig. I'm low key like the mo jig jig jig. I'm low key like the mo jig jig jig.
How will I sit up in the nosebleeds? How will I stop until they know me? I want you all to listen closely before I motherfucking proceed. Yeah, we are riding on the road, key. They're complacent with their own needs. Don't ever stop, just keep on going. You keep on working, keep on growing. Yeah. I've never felt so alive. Keep working until I die. I know what I want in life, and I'm gonna fight. I've never felt so alive. Keep working until I die. I know what I want in life, and I'm gonna fight. Yeah.
Hi, hello, what's up, how you doing, and welcome back to another episode of Unfinished Business, where the rules are made up and we don't make good enough points for it to matter. As always, I'm Braden. We've got Gregory over here to my right. Chandler's not here today. No NASCAR segment. Sorry for you people that just watch it. We might throw like a little, well, here I'll just do it now. The race was done. Some left turns were made. There was a winner, and they popped some champagne and did a flip off the car.
I will tell you, I actually know who the winner was of last week.
That's all right.
And it was not Kyle Busch, it was his brother. So that's about all I know.
Either way, they made some left turns.
They made a lot of left, yeah. But again, we are back.
We are back.
I would say better than ever, but we had some technical difficulties tonight again, so...
And I can still taste that pizza, so...
we won't even discuss that.
So, yeah.
But as you can tell from the title, this is episode 16, just...
come on. Just a bit outside.
There we go. And we're going to talk about MLB, mid-season playoff pushes, trades...
Updates on the season. It's been a little bit since we've talked about baseball.
Possible award races.
Yeah. This is kind of more our home anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
As you can tell, I'm rocking the old Washington National Bryce Harper jersey, and Braden's rocking the...
old Yadi Molina.
Whatever
Cardinal jersey.
Whatever random team he's rocking. I didn't even know they were a ball club, but...
You wouldn't know it if you watched a game.
And then our top 5 segment will be top 5 most memorable moments in baseball history.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay. But I guess before that, we got to hop on in. And are you ready to thank our sponsor, Braden?
I'm ready to do it. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
All right, this episode of Unfinished Business is brought to you by Crafts and Creations by Kane, your one-stop shop for personalized items that will both amaze you and have your friends and family asking where you got it. Click the link in the description to be taken to the business Facebook page, or simply search Crafts and Creations by Kane on Facebook. Make sure to join the group and look at her prior creations, or simply check out the decal right here, or check out the koozie right here.
Keeps it nice and cold.
Nice and cold. When you find something that you like, simply message the group creator with your request and she will take it from there. Join the group today and get your creations by Kane. Alrighty. You want to go ahead, let's get into let's do a little standings update here as far as going league-wide, I guess. Let's go ahead.
So you're going league-wide, or we're going to go division?
Well, we'll go by division, but I'm saying for the entire major league.
Oh, yeah.
So
I got you.
Let's go ahead and start AL East as most standings
have.
Yeah. So sitting first place in the AL East right now is Boston. You've got the Boston Red Sox. Then you have the Tampa Bay Rays. You've got the Toronto Blue Jays. The New York Yankees sitting at fourth, and the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, there's only 5 teams, but I'm going to say they're sitting in 6th.
Yeah. And we should say the Red Sox, Boston, has a 1.5 game lead on Tampa Bay, a 7.5 game lead on Toronto, and the Yankees, who are supposed to be, favorites possibly to win the World Series this year, are 8 games back in their own division. So,
good times.
Let's drink to that.
Good times, yeah. So, I mean, I will say that the Yankees would be in a better place if they were sitting in different divisions.
That is actually
the AL
very
East
accurate.
is as usual very strong. Boston sitting in first place at a 56-36 record.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay in second at 54-38, and then Toronto 46-42. I mean, like you said, the Yankees were destined and supposed to be favorites to win the World Series, certainly favorites to win the AL East this year. I mean, it's been a very weird year for them. I know that they lost Corey Kluber, one of their starters, kind of earlier in the year. He's just starting now to throw off of a mound again. Luke Voit is about ready to come back as well. I know he's had some issues with injury. Severino's just about to come back.
Well, and I think
Britton.
Obviously not having a lot of starting pitching is not going to help the case at all.
Oh yeah. We'll get to some more of that.
I think the other issue with the Yankees this year is with the lack in pitching. I mean, their offense is loaded, but
the lack of production, I'd really say.
Yeah, I mean, there's no production either.
I mean, Stanton has been injured as well. I know he's just recently gotten back and has started pinch hitting again.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's not... I mean, you still have Aaron Judge. You still have... what's their catcher's name? Gary Sanchez, LeMahieu. I mean, they've got names.
Who's the... He was kind of bigger last year. I forgot what position he plays. I need to look at their roster, and I'll be able to tell you exactly who I'm thinking of.
I know that.
It's not them.
I know that Aaron Hicks had a decent year last year, but he's not on the Yankees anymore. So I don't know if that's who you're thinking of, or
no, I'm not seeing the guy that I'm thinking of here.
Like it could have been Aaron Hicks did have a good year last year.
Maybe it was his. Okay, here's not a guy that I knew that he was on the Yankees. Rougned Odor.
Rougned, yeah, true. I mean, even Gleyber Torres. I mean, they're starting shortstop sitting 239. So
yeah, and I cannot think of who it was. But none of these names on their rosters who I was thinking of. So.
Yeah, I mean,
it might have been one of the ones that that we just talked about too. So,
but yeah, I mean jumping off of the Yankees here, a team that's really kind of surprised everybody this year, really I think has been the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have. I mean, compared to past years, with having Mookie Betts, with having Jackie Bradley Jr., having David Price, I mean, all these, big name players, I mean, their quote-unquote ace pitcher for this year is Eduardo Rodriguez. Their second starter is Nathan Eovaldi.
Yep.
I mean, obviously they're going to be regular names to people that follow MLB, but to somebody that doesn't follow the MLB very closely,
yeah, I mean, you're not. Yeah, you're
are you
not
going to recognize Eduardo Rodriguez,
No.
or are you going to recognize
No.
Chris Sale, David Price, those type of names?
Well, and that's the crazy thing is, Chris Sale was supposed to be, like one of their best pitchers on their team for years.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously I'm a White Sox fan, and I love Chris Sale as a White Sox, and I was happy to see him win a ring in Boston. But you almost wonder, are they basically paying him to sit on the bench because he's had so many injuries in Boston. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
I want to say even the year that he won a ring with them.
Yeah, he's had a lot of injuries.
He was injured.
Yeah, but I mean, they really don't have. I mean, the only real big name that they have, they've got Xander Bogaerts, and they've got JD Martinez.
I was say JD Martinez.
Well, yeah, but I mean Xander Bogaerts and JD, and then I mean Hunter Renfroe, I guess.
Renfroe's having a good year.
He is having a great year, but I mean, I don't know of many people that don't follow Major League Baseball that would really know his name off of the top of their head. But either they've got the secret sauce in Boston and they just know how to win and their chemistry is that good, or it's just riding a really good year and just sticking to it. But Tampa Bay, I mean, obviously, they're having a year that I think most people really expected from them. Sitting 54-38. Yeah,
oh yeah, and it's always good for baseball when the Red Sox are doing well.
Oh yeah,
because obviously one of the best rivalries in baseball is Red Sox Yankees, and for a few years. It was still the rivalry, but the Yankees just demolished the Red Sox because of how just down they were.
Yeah. If you want to talk about another we were talking before with the Boston lineup and roster. Look at like a Tampa Bay. They've got Rich Hill is their ace. You've got former Cardinal Michael Wacha as their fifth starter.
Well, and
but
and I don't know what it is about Tampa Bay every year, but a lot of their, even last year when they were in the World Series, a lot of their guys on their team, they weren't like big names.
Yeah, if you, looking through here, most people are going to know Kevin Kiermaier. He's a relatively big name.
And they'll know, what the hell is this? I just say that. They're going to know who he is. And
Zunino, Arozarena. Honestly, though, if you're not a follower of baseball, and you aren't a Tampa Bay or a Cardinal fan because he was a former Cardinal. I don't even know if you recognize that name, to be honest.
Well, I guess the reason why I say people aren't going to recognize his name now is because of last year. He came on a lot there towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And in the postseason, to where a lot of people were like, "Oh, who is this guy?" And kind of started following just him a little bit more. G-Man Choi, power hitter.
Yeah.
Wander Franco's having a decent year. And then obviously, like you said, their starting pitching
Hill.
Yeah, isn't a lot of guys that you would, think of necessarily as great pitchers by any means. But Michael Wacha, fifth starter. Ryan Yarbrough having a decent year.
Yeah, I think this is another one of those situations like we talked to, like I said with Boston, is that that secret sauce. There's not. The chemistry is there. They want to play for each other. They like the manager that they have. They play hard, and that shows up. Obviously being in, I would say, one of the better divisions. I'd say probably the second best division in baseball.
Yeah,
at the moment.
And you could even argue. Second. You could even argue maybe the best division of baseball.
Maybe.
It's kind of close.
It's very similar to the other division that I'm sure we're both thinking of. But being second in a division with that roster and with very little players that most people would know.
Well, and think about this: we haven't even talked about Toronto, and it's like. Don't get me wrong. Toronto may not make the postseason this year. I want to say they're like 4 games out of the wild card.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit less, but
we'll get to that here in a moment too.
But I mean, we haven't even talked about them, and they probably have, in my mind, more.
Oh yeah,
more players that people would know of.
Oh, by far.
And more talent, but obviously, anymore, and we've talked about this. Baseball is not a talent game. I mean, it's a game where you need a full team.
Yeah.
If you're going to compete, and especially pitching. So,
yeah, you definitely need pitching. But jumping on that Toronto Blue Jays, I mean, they're sitting at a record 46-42. I mean, obviously, 10 games back. So
they're 7.5 back in the division.
Oh, yeah.
Wild card wise, they are 4.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but like you said, they have got a bunch of more well-known players here. I mean, Hyunjin Ryu, Robbie Ray, Steven Masson, Ross Stripling, their last 2 4th and 5th starters.
Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, George Springer,
Vlad Jr.
I mean, they have a power lineup. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, even Lourdes Gurriel. I mean,
yeah,
and Semyon.
Yeah,
Randall
Grichuk.
Yeah,
I mean, they have. I think their problem in my mind is possibly pitching. To be honest,
and I mean, honestly, it could be too much of a like reliance on the long ball too. I mean, they've got obviously they've got a lot of power with Vlad Jr. and George Springer, Grichuk.
Yeah, well, and
Lourdes Gurriel too.
Not just that, but I mean, I'll be honest, Vlad Jr. Has kind of come on this year and kind of broke out as a star in the American League to the point of putting himself in the. And we'll get to this later on, I'm sure. He's put himself in the AL MVP conversation.
Yeah, in the conversation.
Whether or not and we'll discuss this later, whether or not we think that he is right now the front runner, like a lot of people are saying, I'm not sure. But definitely in the conversation. I definitely put him in the top 3. At least at mid-season form, I'd put him at top 3 for AL MVP.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at their roster, I mean, this is like it's kind of a weird situation with the number of players that they have, where they're like second generation players.
Oh yeah,
I mean, because you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, his dad Vlad Guerrero. I mean, obviously big player in baseball history. I mean, Kevin Biggio, Craig Biggio's son. Then you have Bo Bichette. His father was also in Major League Baseball.
Yep.
George Springer, I believe his dad was also in Major League Baseball.
And even if he wasn't, I mean, it's still George Springer.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I'm wanting to say that he is. I even think that Grichuk's dad was I don't know if he was like a Major League Baseball player, but I want to say he was a professional, like as far as like at least played the minors.
That one I can't remember.
But I'm pretty sure that but either way, I mean, Vlad Guerrero, Craig Biggio, and I can't think of what Bo Bichette's dad's name is, but I mean, honestly,
I'll say if you really want me to look it up, I can.
No, it's all right.
It's probably not.
But I mean, Craig Biggio and Vlad to have around like walking around the practice facility or around at games. I mean, just imagine what that's like.
And here's my thing, and I don't know what the actual rule is in regards to like MLB, but their kids are on the team. How many times are they just around the practice field and giving pointers of hitting true. And all this other stuff? And that's why I say I don't know what the actual rules are in regards to ex players being allowed to do that like during the season, but their kids are on the team.
And
they're
that
going
honestly
to
could really be part of the reason why you're seeing more more former players getting into, like, obviously you have some players that are getting into like the scout area, and while you also are seeing more players now get into more of like the local broadcasting type.
Oh yeah,
because I mean they're around. I mean they're obviously employed with the team. They're around the ballpark all the time. So somebody like just from experience with like. I mean, Jim Edmonds is a broadcaster for the Cardinals. I mean, shoot, if I had anybody to try and teach me to play center field.
Isn't Rick Ankiel
He was.
He okay.
He was.
I
He's
knew
not
that. I
anymore.
knew that
He
he
works-
did.
He works in another team's
Okay.
front office now, I
Okay.
believe. But I mean, Jim Edmonds trying to teach. If I'm wanting to have somebody teach me how to play center field,
Yeah.
Jim Edmonds is probably
yeah.
one of the better options.
I mean, talk about just to. I mean, not to get it completely off topic, but just to talk about a guy who could just make plays in center
Yeah.
field. I mean,
Yeah.
just some of the things that he did. You know, diving catches, over the shoulder catches,
Over the shoulder
climbing-
diving catches.
Yeah, climbing the wall. I mean,
the first thing, there's 3 plays that immediately come to mind whenever I think of Jim Edmonds. You've got the home run where he robbed, where he is completely with his back turned to the ball and 180s around and has to end up backhanding a ball over the wall.
Yep.
And then the second one, whenever he is with the Angels and
I know
over the head diving catch.
That was the one I was getting ready to say.
then-
Is if we don't put that one in
And then
these 3,
the third one is him playing. This is when he was with the Cardinals and playing in Houston when they had the hill.
Oh yeah,
And him running up the hill over
Dude,
the shoulder.
Can we just talk about what a disgrace it was they took the hill out?
I know.
Oh my god!
But I mean,
dude,
that's-
that hill made so many plays.
Awkward plays and.
But I agree with every single one of those catches, and I remember watching every single one of those catches. And I think, I mean,
It's incredible.
even though obviously it probably wasn't the most difficult, just the different incline. I'd say probably the hardest catch he had was the hill.
Yeah, I mean, because
people don't realize how hard that is.
I mean, because that was a. I don't want to say it was a diving catch, but I mean, he was running up the hill, lost his balance, his knees hit the ground, and he kind of was flopping.
Yeah,
down
and wasn't it
caught
over? Wasn't it also he flopped down, but he caught it over his shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
say I thought that if I remember it correctly, that's how it was. But
And the thing is that I think he was kind of one of the first players to really. I mean, he played a shallow center.
yeah,
He played
yeah.
a shallow center field because he found it easier to go back on a ball than he did coming in on a ball.
Which,
Just because
which is crazy because a lot of coaches are like, "Oh, it's easier to come in. Oh, for him, it's easier to go back."
yeah, I mean, really, honestly, that kind of attributed to how many great plays he made. Because if he was playing deeper, it wouldn't be.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
it would've just
he
been
wouldn't
a
have that diving over the shoulder catch. He wouldn't have
Yeah.
the catch on what was it? I can't think of what the name of the hill is, but on the hill. And
Yeah,
then,
it would have just been a routine
maybe
fly ball.
Yeah, even the one where he robbed the home run. I mean, he'd be standing at the wall already.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
But either way, but yeah.
Which I mean, he'd still maybe have to rob it, but
oh yeah.
But it wouldn't have been as crazy because he basically did that all in one motion.
Yeah.
Run, jump, ball's there.
Yeah, run, jump,
I mean,
locate the ball, 180, and
if I remember correctly, he basically located the ball
the
during
ball,
his jump.
the ball was practically
wasn't-
6 inches off the ground when he caught it.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those he locates
that was
the
in
ball.
Bush.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those where he locates the ball and is able to find it and then time his jump. I mean, he
No,
located
he
the
jumped,
ball
turned,
as
and found the ball.
jumping, and it's
But
Jim
yeah.
Edmonds. I mean, I'm not even a Cardinals fan, but
Yeah.
I that was one guy who was fun to watch. But
Yeah.
do we want to get into? Do we want to talk about the Baltimore, or do we just want to be
Baltimore sitting in. Well, again, there's 5 teams, but I'm gonna say 6th
Yeah.
place.
And the reason why we say 6th place
They're
is
29 and 62.
They have the second worst record in baseball. I'm almost positive.
Yes.
And the run differential is a minus 141. So, they have no chance of, in my mind, making the postseason at all.
Absolutely not.
Let me put it this way: if they somehow make the postseason, I will sit up here and I don't even know. But
yeah, I mean,
but yeah, let's just get out of the AL East. Do we want to make predictions about how we think the division is going to end at the end of the year? At this point, or do we want to just?
Nah.
Okay, I didn't know what all we were going to do.
We can get into because I mean, obviously, we'll talk more about baseball whenever it gets closer to the trade deadline on the 30th.
Yeah,
and after the trade deadline and with the new places or new
Wait,
faces
is
and new places.
is it July 30th?
Yeah, it's July 30th.
We probably won't be able to.
Well, that next time that we are.
Oh yeah, duh. Never mind. I forgot. Just never mind. We're good.
But
Our next podcast, we might talk about the trade deadline. Right?
well, no, because it would be our next one is going to be on this well, it's Sunday now that we're recording this now,
Yeah.
but it's going to be on this next Friday, and then you're going to be in.
I'll be in Minnesota.
You're going to be in
like,
Minnesota.
that whole time.
Well, that's fine. We can do it the next time that we have it.
Oh, like, you mean like after trade deadline?
Yeah, like after
okay.
the trade
Oh,
deadline.
I got okay. I
Because
got
we'll
you.
have because after
I got you.
because you know how the trade deadline is. You're gonna have teams and you're gonna have for some reason
hell, there might be guys I don't even know who's like on the trade block right now and they somehow get traded.
Yeah, and I mean, you always have, and plus after the trade deadline, you have like teams or players that are on waivers that can still be traded and all other kind of stuff. So,
well, and then you have guys who could be, released, like Adam Eaton on the White Sox, and now he signed with I'm pretty sure the Angels.
yeah,
But yeah, so random team to sign with, but whatever.
But yeah, so we'll get into like predictions after that, so that way we can really see like new faces.
I got you. Yeah.
So
that might be the title of that episode. New faces and new places.
Yeah. So then, once we get, let's go ahead and get into the next division, which is going to be the
best division in baseball,
American League Central.
Totally kidding, by the way.
Yeah. So, first place in that division, you have the Chicago White Sox.
Chicago White Sox.
Second place, you have the Cleveland Indians. Third place, the Detroit Tigers. Fourth place, the Minnesota Twins. And then in last place, the Kansas City Royals.
I wish Chandler was here so we could talk shit, but
yeah. So, first in that division, we do have Chicago. They're sitting at the record of 55 and 36.
Here's my thing. That's like, I'm a White Sox fan. That's not surprising. What is surprising, and I mean, obviously we'll get to this team down the line, is the fact that it was supposed to be basically a 2-horse race in this division, White Sox and Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota is 16 games out of first place.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's just be honest. This is the White Sox division. I don't personally, unless they
have to collapse.
Yeah,
monumental collapse.
And here's my thing. What a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of analysts are like, "Oh, the White Sox are good, but they're playing bad against teams that are above 500," which I understand completely. Mm-hmm. A lot of the teams they play in their division are not good. They're not over 500, so I get that. But my thing is, they're beating the teams they need to beat. They're winning their division. They'll make it in the postseason. Yeah. They're also missing a lot of their starters.
Yeah.
Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez. I know Abreu was injured for a little bit. Yes, Monty Grandal is injured right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're basically right now just trying to keep their heads above water. They're 8 games in first place in their division. And what I'm hoping for, because they have not released yet if Luis Robert's going to be able to come back before the season's over. So he may come back just for postseason. I'm hoping that it is before the season's over to at least get some games under his belt.
Yeah, I mean
beforehand, but
he did. I know that today, yesterday now.
Well,
he did end up taking some live batting practice and did some light outfield work in the team's like training facility in Arizona. So I mean, he's definitely on the up and up to come back.
And Nick Madrigal's out for the season.
That's true. And then I know Eloy Jimenez is also on his way back as well. He's
back in AAA.
He's doing rehab starts.
Yeah,
but. I mean, just looking at the White Sox roster here, honestly, like, what else do you need? I mean, maybe the bullpen can get a little bit better.
The only thing that I have heard personally, and obviously we'll talk about this after the trade deadline, is there is talk with Madrigal being out for the year that they are going to try to go after Frazier off the Pirates. I think it's Adam Frazier, yeah. There's talk that they're going to try to go after a second baseman. Whether that's Adam Frazier or I want to say Trevor Story, second base.
Shortstop.
But there is talk that the White Sox may be after Trevor Story and move Tim Anderson over to second base.
Yeah.
And
really, honestly, that's...
Here's my thing, though. And don't get me wrong. I agree going all in. I agree with that. But to get a guy like Adam Frazier or Trevor Story, you're going to have to give up 1 or 2 prospects.
Yeah.
And with some of the contracts that the White Sox have right now that are very, very good contracts to have,
Yeah.
do you want to make that trade to lose prospects and then try to be re-signing these guys later on who may not re-sign?
See, I think, personally, just my own personal thought process here. I don't necessarily think that you need a player like Adam Frazier or need a player like a Trevor Story. Honestly, you've got, when Grandal comes back, you've got Grandal's bat, you've got Abreu, you've got Moncada, Anderson, and then you've got Adam Engel in center. You have Eloy Jimenez. You have I just said his name. Other outfielder.
Andrew Vaughn.
No.
Billy.
Luis Robert.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Whoa.
And you have Luis Robert as well. So if they feel like they need a second baseman, maybe go after. I don't know. Maybe go after somebody lower, maybe lower on the value than for Adam Frazier, or definitely lower than a Trevor Story.
Yeah.
But,
or
just tough it out this year.
My other thing about the people who are saying, oh, they need to go after him is Leury Garcia honestly is not playing a bad year.
No,
he's not having a bad year at all.
And honestly, that's really the only. Unless
that's really the only hole they have.
Well, see, the thing that I could also see them doing is maybe taking a shot and going after a big bat to put in their DH role. Maybe. That might be an option, but again, once it gets to be World Series time, you got to think you're also going to be playing games in a National League stadium where you're not going to have that DH. So I don't know if obviously you're going to have the DH till you get to the World Series, but
the only reason why I don't know if they would go after, well, honestly, there is talk that Nelson Cruz may be on the trade block.
Yeah.
And if he's on the trade block, if I'm the White Sox, obviously you're trading it within a division. So it's going to be a lot to get him.
Mm-hmm. Especially from Minnesota. Because
this is what I would do. I love him as a player, and I think he's played great for the White Sox this year. But I think because he can also play first base, you give up a guy like Andrew Vaughn, because you already have Eloy Jimenez coming back.
Yeah.
To play left field, who, don't get me wrong, Andrew Vaughn is, well, and that's another thing. If you have Eloy, who I know he's made comments that he wants to be able to play the field.
Yeah.
But if you have a guy like Andrew Vaughn, who is already playing the field a lot better than Eloy ever did, put Eloy in as a DH, your team's set. In my mind, your team's set.
And you also got to think they also have a Billy Hamilton that they have. They are able to put obviously in pinch run situation, or obviously not a bad fielder.
The only, and we talked about this before, the only thing that I'm worried for the White Sox in the postseason, and he's gotten better over the course of this year, is Tony La Russa making just bonehead decisions.
Yeah.
That is literally the only thing that I'm worried about. Yeah. Other than that, I truly think that their rotation for once is actually helping.
And obviously you have their rotation is solid.
Well, here's my thing. When Dallas Keuchel last year is your second best pitcher,
he's not your fifth starter,
and this year he's not your fifth starter.
Yeah,
that should say a lot.
And honestly, the knock at least the last couple of years has been their bullpen, and they don't have a big name player coming out of their pen, except for Liam Hendricks coming out and being their closer. Yeah. But I mean, even then, like, I mean, if they want to make a splash and do something like, and bolster their bullpen a little bit, maybe get another big name relief pitcher. But
the only worry I have with that is what the return is going to be.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they have a guy like Michael Kopech in their bullpen right now, who was at some point in his career supposed to turn into a high quality starter.
Yeah.
And some of the games that he has filled in a starting role this year, he has pitched fantastic. So I feel that if they did try to get a relief, he would be one guy that teams would want.
Yeah.
Either him, maybe Evan Marshall, Garrett Crochet. I mean, they have a lot of young relief pitchers that, don't get me wrong, if you can get a solid veteran reliever for the postseason, I'm all for it. I just don't want to see them basically, again, waste away young talent and then not be able to re-sign some of these guys later on.
Yeah.
And, kind of do, I mean, I'm going to be honest, kind of do what, the Cubs did.
Yeah.
Where they have,
because they're kind of handcuffed right now.
Yeah, where they have they had a great run, they had a great team, and now they're reaping the consequences of, they had to get rid of Jock Peterson. There's talk that they're going to trade Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to
actually.
them
There's
here
talk.
in a little bit,
I'm gonna say there's talk that they're going to be sellers like hard at the trade deadline. And we'll get to that, but I don't. In my mind, I don't think we really need to talk much more about any other teams in this division, really.
I mean, the only other one that really would have, and honestly, like we said, the White Sox are going to have a collapse in order to lose this.
Yeah.
Or the Cleveland Indians sitting at second are going to have to really have a fantastic second half. I mean, just looking at their lineup, I don't really see that happening. I think it'd be easier. Ramirez.
Yeah, I think it'd be easier for Cleveland to be able to do that if they still had Lindor.
Yeah,
to be honest.
And even if you want to say, okay, we don't have to have a great lineup, you could rely on pitching. Their pitching's, Zach Plesac. Plesac,
because Shane. Well, they'll have Shane Bieber come back, but
2 pitchers out of 5 starters though. And even closer. Their closer being Emmanuel Clace, or I think it's Clace.
Yeah,
it's Clace or Clase, but I think it's Clace.
I'm pretty sure it's Clace.
They just don't have. They've got Jose Ramirez, they've got Ahmad Rosario, Roberto Perez, but
They have. Here's my thing. They have a decent team, but looking obviously on paper, you're like, how are they even in second place in that division?
Yeah.
Honestly, that's nothing. That is nothing against the Indians. They're a decent team. It's just like we talked about before the season even started. I don't know how in the hell the Minnesota Twins are not better than what they are.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna talk about next here. Is I don't
get it at all.
If you look at their team, Jose Barrios, Kenta Maeda, Michael Pineda, J.A. Happ, Bailey Ober. That's a pretty solid rotation. Kenta Maeda, one of the top pitchers in Major League Baseball a couple years ago. Michael Pineda, the same thing. J.A. Happ, the same thing. Jose Barrios, is a very quality. Obviously he's their ace, but and you've got
Josh
Donaldson, you've got Andrelton Simmons, Byron Buxton, Max Kepler, Nelson Cruz.
Honestly, even though he doesn't hit for power a lot, but Jorge Polanco.
It's. And you even think about, you have Miguel Sano coming off the bench as your backup first baseman. Yeah. It's just such a surprise that their team has been this bad. They're sitting at 39-52. And have they had their fair share of injuries? Yes. But at this point in the season, every team has.
Well, I mean, again,
and they haven't even had like a real. I don't think they've had like a real huge. I mean, they're missing Byron Buxton right now, but I mean, I don't think they've really had a huge injury.
Well, and again,
year.
like we've talked about, I mean, if you want to play the injury card, the team leading your division has had injuries in 3 of their key, honestly, star players.
Yeah,
and they're beating you by 16 games.
Yeah.
So, like, personally, I don't think you can look at the injuries and be like, oh, well, we're this bad because no, that's bullshit. Like,
I think
they're
honestly,
that bad because your team is just bad.
I do think that there is one case that you can honestly say that injuries have played a big point in their season, and we'll get to that team later.
Yes,
but
yeah.
I mean, you can't really say that injuries.
And I know
what
what team you're talking about.
Yeah, but so yeah, we can just jump off the Minnesota Twins.
We'll
jump
go to
off
the
we'll go
to
Tigers
the
and the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk about them. They're bad.
Yeah, so
That's all you
we'll
need to
just
know.
jump to the.
Speaking of which, I looked up tickets to like a Royals game.
But they're cheap, aren't they?
Dude, you said the bleacher for $15.
Yeah.
I mean, finally, the Royals tickets are back down to what they were, before they won the World Series.
Yeah.
But AL West, you want me to talk about this one, or just at least go through the standings?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. AL West, we have first place Houston Astros.
The trash cans.
Yep,
The asterisks.
they're still using the asterisks in the trash cans.
Houston Asterisks.
Second place Oakland Athletics. Third Seattle Mariners. Fourth, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and fifth, the Texas Rangers. Oakland is 3.5 games back. Seattle 7 games back. Angels are 9 games back, and the Rangers are 20. So, I'm going to be honest. Before we even get talking like the individual teams, a team that I'm shocked, but then again, it's year after year. Angels.
Yeah.
I mean, what is to be honest? What does this team have to do to finally get Mike Trout into a fucking postseason?
My thing
is this is ridiculous.
My thing is that I don't know if it's a. I mean, they have the talent. They've got. I mean, if you look at their their roster, lineup, pitching rotation. I mean, whatever you want to look at. I mean, they're pretty solid. I mean, obviously the Angels have Shohei.
I guess you could say, not to cut you off, I guess you could say maybe injuries because Mike Trout's injured, Anthony Rendon's injured, Justin Upton's injured, Dexter Fowler's injured.
Okay, Dexter Fowler.
Well, but what I'm saying is, I mean, on their team, I mean, they're going to need maybe not Dexter Fowler, but I mean, when their outfield right now without the ones I'm talking about is Justin Upton, Juan Lagares, and Tyler Ward. Adam Eaton, now that he signed.
Shohei played.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, obviously, he'll DH a lot of the time with him pitching as well.
But, I mean, my thing is, obviously, you have, Anthony Rendon should be coming back.
Upton's coming back.
I mean, obviously, Trout's coming back.
Eventually.
I mean, 60 day didn't DL, but
I mean, he had
Upton should come back. I think this week. But I mean, you could argue maybe that injuries are playing a little bit of a role in them not being towards the top of their division. But again, how many years is it going to be that you have? I mean, arguably one of the best. I mean, one of, if not the best player in baseball.
Well, I'd say, and honestly, at this point, I'd say two of the best players in baseball.
Exactly.
And obviously, they had that with Pujols and Trout. I mean, Pujols being with the latter half of his career. But I mean, you've got 2 players in their prime that are carrying this team to 45 wins. And I mean, the thing is that with I mean, I don't even know. I mean, obviously you have your injuries, but I mean, their pitching staff: Shohei Ohtani, Andrew Heaney, Alex Cobb. I mean, Patrick Sandoval and Jose Suarez. But I mean, Ohtani, Heaney, and Cobb. And then on those days that you have your 4th and 5th starters: Mike Myers, Steve Cishek, Tony Watson, Dylan Bundy, Jose Quintana, and then you have Rafael Iglesias.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my thing is, on paper again, like they were
Great
a team.
team.
They were a team that a lot of people said, hey, they could compete for a World Series this year.
And I mean,
Easily.
and you can easily, and you could say that, like, okay, maybe their players aren't performing. No, I mean, whenever Trout was playing, whenever Trout wasn't injured, I mean,
And I want to say, and I could be very wrong about this, I want to say that I want to say that I had Oakland winning the division.
yeah,
Before the season started, and obviously it's mainly because fuck Houston, but we'll get into I guess the Houston Astros now. I mean, obviously having a good year.
and I don't really necessarily think that that's a surprise to very many people.
No,
I don't think that many
It's
people wanted
not.
to see it. But
yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't want to see it, but when you have Zach Greinke,
McCullers,
yeah, you still have Jose Altuve, Yuli Gurriel, Carlos Correa. I mean, Michael Brantley is even playing well in left field.
I mean, you even have.
It's-
I mean, obviously he's injured at the moment, but Bregman. You have. I mean, Aledmus Diaz. He's not a bad
I
backup
kind
at
of forgot.
shortstop.
I kind of forgot they had him. Well, he's playing second base for him now.
Well, yeah, that too. But I mean, he's also.
To be honest, I
yeah,
mean,
I mean, he's still a backup. But I
but-
mean, you still have.
Justin Verlander. Or not Verlander. Oh my God! It's
Yeah.
it's early, folks. It's 1:30 in the morning on Sunday.
I mean, and you have
Justin Verlander.
Yeah, and you have Michael Brantley. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it does it surprise me? No. Do I want to see it? God, no. But I mean,
Great year, obviously. I mean, so far. I mean, they're sitting 56 and 37.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I think it's a wrap that they're going to make the postseason.
I mean, yeah, I think it's a wrap that they're going to make the postseason. As far as win the division, I doubt it. But, I mean, for them to not make the playoffs, they're going to have to.
It is possible that they don't make the playoffs, though.
Well, I mean, is it possible? Yes, but even if they don't, like,
Actually,
if they
no,
don't
they
win,
will, because
if they don't win their division, Oakland is the second person in that wild card already. So
yeah, and Seattle's in third. So
yeah, and Seattle is So
Yeah.
I don't think there's very
Yeah.
much of a likelihood at all. But I mean, it is possible if Toronto has a great second half and
well, and if Houston collapses because the trash can doesn't work, I mean, it's very.
yeah. But I mean, is it possible?
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But likely, probably not.
Well, and I mean, I don't really want to get into. Really, I mean, honestly, I don't want to get into Seattle talking about them
No.
because it's like whatever. But Oakland, I mean, the reason why I had them win that division was they're just a tough team in general.
Yeah.
With again a lot of players that a lot of people don't maybe know much about.
Yeah.
But Jed Lowry, Elvis Andrews, Tony Kemp,
Sean Murphy.
Mitch Moreland as a DH.
Yeah. Matt Olson.
I think the only spot that maybe they struggle in at this point would be starting pitching, maybe.
But I mean, they have Manea and they have Chris Bassett, so I mean,
Yeah.
their first two starters are definitely a positive, and I mean, I know that I want to say I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say that Yasmiro Petit was a starter at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if he is pitching well and they needed somebody to come in and make a start, I mean, that's a possibility as well.
You know, I did not realize until looking at this lineup
Rosenthal.
that Rosenthal is their third closer.
Well, he's injured, so
Well, I mean,
he's their normal closer.
I still did not realize that at all.
Yeah, he's their regular closer, except just being injured.
Oh, there's another one, Mike Fears.
Oh, Fires.
Or
yeah.
Fires, yeah. I know I said that wrong.
Yeah. But
So I mean, he's also injured. So I mean, there's three starters right there.
yeah,
And honestly, he may even be.
I think he's a bigger impact injury than Rosenthal.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That's a huge injury for them.
Even like a guy like Chad Pinder off the bench. I mean, he's such a utility. He's like,
Scotty.
yeah, that too.
I mean, to be honest,
well, he's not injured though.
well, he's not injured, but I mean, off the bench.
Yeah,
because
but I'm just saying Chad Pinder is a bench player. I mean, he's a utility player to the point where he plays first, he plays second, third,
Yeah.
shortstop,
Yeah.
center, not center, left, right, and he obviously can DH. But
Yep.
I mean,
So-
that's a big impact injury for a team if a utility guy like that goes down.
Yeah. So right now, in the American League, as of 7/18, so July 18th, it's a 3-way tie with the White Sox, Astros, Red Sox for first in the league.
Yeah.
And then Tampa, Oakland, Seattle, Toronto, Cleveland, and New York Yankees.
Yeah.
So, obviously, in my mind, personally, I mean, I had the White Sox making the postseason, did not have them as one of the best teams in the American League.
One of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah, before the season started, but I mean, I knew they would be good, but I was being very, unbiased and did not think that they would be, as good this year as
Yeah.
what they are. But you want to get over to the old NL?
Yeah, let's do it.
The loser of the All-Star game for like
Yeah.
how many years in a row?
Yeah, so jumping over to the National League, let's talk about the National League East
Probably
first.
the worst division in baseball.
Yeah, probably one of the worst. Yeah.
I mean,
So
statistically speaking,
actually, yeah, they're the
I
only.
would say-
it's the only division in baseball that their division leader is not above. Does not have.
doesn't have 50
games.
wins. So
Um,
I would say statistically speaking, it's either a very tough division because everybody's beating up on each other, or their division just sucks.
Yeah,
It's one or the other.
and I mean, their division is tough. I mean, to be honest,
I mean, it's okay.
like,
Here's my thing. It's tough, but
I would
mean,
say I would. Yeah.
it's gonna suck for whoever gets second place because they ain't gonna make the postseason.
Yeah, that's the same thing for probably. Maybe not the Central, but we'll get into that. But the Mets leading that division. Then you've got the Philadelphia Phillies in second,
Yep.
Atlanta Braves in third, Washington Nationals in fourth, and then the Miami Marlins in fifth.
And
who
we
are actually having a better year than I thought they would.
And we should say that this division from first to last is separated by only 8 games.
yeah, so
It's not like the Marlins, who honestly are 40 and 51, are.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously not having a good year.
but I mean the Mets
Which-
are sitting
okay.
in first at 47 and 41.
Can I say something which is crazy?
Huh.
The Marlins are 40 and 51
Mhm.
and have a plus 21 run differential.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes more to the maybe blow-up games and maybe minimizing
Yeah,
their
but
blow-up
like
games.
I was just like, how is that fucking possible? That
Yeah,
you have a plus 21 run differential, but then there's a team like Philly who's 45 and 45. They have a minus 13.
see, and
Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like I don't
think
get
that honestly
at all.
might come down to Miami just not winning their close games, and
Well,
then them
honestly,
also,
what it comes down to is the fact that they're terrible on the road.
that too, yeah.
They're above 500 at home and 12 games.
Well, if you think about it, Miami being such a big ballpark, maybe that is more due to the fact that they don't rely as much on a home run ball compared to other teams. Because if they
Yeah.
go and they leave Miami, they're going to stadiums where it's easier to hit home runs in, and if they aren't hitting the
That is
ball
true.
out of the ballpark, then other teams are more likely going to take advantage of being able to do that.
That's a valid point. I didn't really think about that.
So, let me just go ahead and start talking about the Mets here first.
Yeah.
I mean, DeGrom, Stroman, Taiwan
No,
Walker.
no, just stop talking. Just stop talking.
DeGrom.
DeGrom.
And I mean,
even
if you even look at their
Even though he's been
bullpen-
injured, he is the best pitcher in baseball.
Oh yes,
And it's
I think
not it's-
injured. He's the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, it's not even close. But
No.
their lineup, it still pains me to say this name, James McCann, who personally I wish that the White Sox never let him go.
yeah.
But I understand why they did when they had Yasmani Grandal already.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jacob DeGrom, Stroman,
Taiwan Walker,
Pete Alonso, J.D. Davis, Francisco Lindor,
Brandon Nimmo.
Michael Conforto. I mean, this team.
and you have Kevin Pillar.
Yeah,
on
Kevin
the bench.
Pillar on the bench. I just saw that. So, I mean, this team is set up to win now.
Yes.
I think what it comes down to them is they need DeGrom healthy.
See, and I think, and actually, it might be kind of like a crazy thing to say, but I think this might be one of the most complete teams in baseball.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you have 3 starters that can be aces on most staffs in Major League Baseball. You've got pitchers in the bullpen like Seth Lugo, Trevor May, Yuris Familia, Miguel Castro, and you've got your closers, Edwin Diaz. You've got James McCann behind the plate, Pete Alonso, J.D. Davis, Francisco Lindor, Nimmo, Conforto, Pilar on the bench.
Yep.
I mean, just up and down. I mean, even Peraza. Jose Peraza's on their bench.
Yeah.
I mean, up and down their lineup, on their bench, up and down their rotation, everywhere in the bullpen. You think, look and you see a star player, or at least a star player former.
And I think it is a lineup that is not only, balanced power-wise, but has those guys who can make contact, get on base for
Pete Alonso.
Yeah, for Pete Alonso, for James McCann.
Conforto.
I mean, even Lindor can have power every now and then. So, I agree with you that it is a very balanced team, maybe even the best team possibly on
paper.
I don't know. I think there's still some teams in the American League and even a couple teams in the National League that on paper I would take.
On
over
paper,
them,
I'd put over them, but I mean that's about as complete of a team as you're gonna find.
Yeah, and here's my thing. I personally, even though it's still pretty close in that division overall, I have the Mets making the postseason.
Oh yeah, I have them making the postseason as well. I just don't think. I don't know. I like the makeup of their lineup just mainly because, like you said, you have players that are more contact base hitters that are going to be getting on base for Pete Alonso to hit home runs. Whereas if Pete Alonso's having an off year or an off week, off month, whatever, you're not relying on him to knock in runs because you have players like Lindor, Conforto, McCann who can also drive in runs. And then you also have, DeGrom.
Yeah, well,
and you also have a decent bullpen and a good. One of the better closers in baseball.
What I'm hoping is that DeGrom can figure out this whole arm issue.
I hope he does too because he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, like the arm tightness he's having, and I hope he can figure it out because, I mean,
one of the greatest seasons we've seen from.
Let's just be honest.
Pitcher.
If he does not get injured this many times this year, in my mind, he could possibly be one of, if not the first pitcher to win MVP. I mean, it's been that good of a year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
I can't remember if there's been a pitcher to win MVP before. So that's why I'm trying. That's okay. I thought there was. That's why I was like one of, if not the first. But
yeah, there have been.
But for sure, I mean, and we'll talk about this later on too. Cy Young, I think it's a given.
Yeah.
Regardless of what another pitcher does in the second half.
If he's not injured and he just even if he worsens a little bit and doesn't continue the pace he's on, because if he continues the pace he's on,
his pace right now is ridiculous.
If he continues the pace he's on, we're talking best season of all time.
Yeah,
by a pitcher, and not even talking about in recent history of all time.
And that's the problem is. How many of those people are going to be like, oh, well, it was the best season by a pitcher of all time, but he missed so many months with an injury.
I don't care.
I don't care. If you watch him pitch, you'll understand what we mean by who cares if he's injured.
Yeah.
To be absolutely honest, I mean, I think it's one of those where I almost the next time that they come to St. Louis, I want to try to get tickets to the entire series so I can for sure have a chance of watching him pitch.
Yeah.
Because knowing my luck, I would get tickets thinking, oh, he's going to pitch this day, and they would change the freaking pitcher and not kind of like when I went and tried to watch Bryce Harper and he got injured,
the day before.
So
yeah. Well, speaking of Bryce Harper, why don't we go ahead and jump to the Philadelphia Phillies, who are sitting in second place that division, at even 500, 45, and 45.
Here's my thing with the Phillies. On paper, they have just a
loaded
lineup with power, contact, everything.
Yeah.
And then you watch them play, and you're like, how?
See,
I mean, you have Bryce Harper, Ajuba Herrera, Andrew McCutchen, Didi Gregorius, Gene Segura, JT Realmuto. You have Aaron Nola, who I believe, is he out for the year? I want to say he might be out for the year.
If he's not out for the year, I think.
Oh no, he just has COVID. Never mind.
Okay.
He was injured earlier this year, though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, he might be out for the year.
My thing here is it a good? Does it have the possibility of being a very good team? Yes. However, is this a team of players that should have been put together 5 years ago? Yes.
Well, yeah. Oh,
you have
100%.
JT Realmuto kind of getting older and
Yeah.
kind of getting older.
Andrew
You have
McCutchen.
who should have retired 5 years ago. You have
Which, surprisingly speaking, McCutchen's actually might be playing his best baseball.
yeah, but I mean
Right now.
yeah.
But which is crazy.
which is crazy to think of. But prior to this year, he's had
Oh yeah.
some down years. Bryce Harper, obviously.
Pittsburgh should have let McCutchen go a while ago.
Yeah. Didi Gregorius, I mean, obviously he's not like super old, but I mean,
To be honest,
his best years were with him in New York with the Yankees.
yeah, I was gonna say even when he was with New York, I didn't think he was really all that.
I mean, I think that also might have something to do with the fact that he was following Jeter.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if this team was put together 5 years ago, I think this is a really good team. I mean, obviously Bryce Harper's maybe towards the end of his prime or getting close to that.
I'll be honest, obviously we both have talked that Bryce Harper is probably one of our favorite players to watch in all of MLB.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with Bryce Harper at this point is, even as a Bryce Harper fan, I think a lot of the way that he plays now is a culmination of the manager at the time in Washington basically not letting him be him.
Not letting him be him. Exactly.
And he has struggled the whole rest of his career trying to get back to how he was the first month he was in the major leagues, where he did not care if it was a ground ball at third base. He was giving 120% on every play. At this point, I don't want to say he's overrated, because he's definitely not. But
I definitely think he's one of the bigger letdowns here recently.
He has not lived up to expectations, which obviously when you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated at the age of 16, 17, hitting a 500 and something foot bomb in high school.
Yeah. I mean,
your expectation, I mean, it's kind of like was it Blaze Jordan for the Red Sox, where it's like his expectations are through the roof.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can live up to them too, because at this point, personally, I don't think Bryce Harper's lived up to his expectations.
Yeah, and the thing is like you were saying, with him being in Washington and him really kind of being told how he should act and told like, oh, we don't act this way in the major leagues. Oh, this, I think that really not necessarily, I mean, honestly, kind of derailed him mentally.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, just that entire atmosphere when he was in Washington was a very, very, very toxic environment.
Yeah.
Like when he is seen as the star in that lineup and in that locker room, that organization really, other than Strasburg at the time, because I don't believe that Scherzer was there yet.
No, but I would say at that point in time,
when he
was not.
When he is like being confronted by, was it Papelbon?
At that point in time, yeah.
When he had not like fully run out a ground out to somewhere in the infield, not fully run out a ball to first base. And he gets confronted by a closing pitcher who shouldn't even be in the dugout.
Well,
and then they get into a fist fight about it. Like,
and the problem with that whole situation was he was running the balls out, and the coach told him he didn't want him to because he didn't want him to get injured.
Yeah.
So it's like he had no idea what to do, and in my mind, if Bryce Harper was 8 years later
Yeah.
to where he's in the game now, where you have guys that
Juan Soto.
like Juan Soto, Acuna,
Yeah.
Tatis Jr., who
Are flashy.
who are kind of, flashy, but especially Juan Soto, just almost kind of like
a dick.
Here's my thing, though.
I mean, he's not, but I'm saying that's the way he acts.
But here's my thing. I love it.
Yeah,
because
that's why I'm a fan.
because
a big reason why I was a fan of Bryce Harper when he first
yeah.
came
Because
in.
here's my and that's the reason why I'm a fan of Juan Soto is he gets in that box and he pretends it's a battle of him and the pitcher, and it's not one of those things where he's doing his mojo to be a dick like some people think he's doing. He's doing it to just psych himself up, and
the pitcher.
And yeah. I mean, what he does where he just takes a pitch and just stares down the pitcher is awesome.
I mean, yeah, because if you're pitching in that moment and you see a guy that steps up to the plate and you throw a ball and he does that, what's your initial response going to be? Your initial response is going to be pissed off. You're going to try and blow a ball or blow a fastball or blow a pitch by him. You're going to overthrow it. You're going to mislocate it, and he's going to hit it 550 feet.
Yeah, which honestly, the year they won the World Series, that's what he did.
Yeah, that's.
But
and
I personally I think a lot of Bryce Harper's problems is mentally because of what happened in Washington, and I truly think that if he would have came in the league a few years later, maybe right now, and played exactly the way he did week 1 to month and a half into the season, we may be talking like as Bryce Harper, one of the best players in baseball. Again.
And I mean,
but at this point, I mean, I would not personally put Bryce Harper even in top 10.
No. And I mean,
that's me saying that as a Bryce Harper fan.
And the thing is, like, whenever he first came in, him and Trout were back and forth being compared as the best players in baseball. And I mean, that really goes to show you because Mike Trout is one of those Derek Jeter type players that flies under the radar, that plays hard, that, does what he does and does it with class. Whereas whenever Bryce Harper first came in, the same time that Mike Trout came in, he was more of the outlandish Juan Soto type players.
Would you say also that possibly it helped Trout being on the West Coast, that a lot of his games were later at night when a lot of people didn't necessarily want to watch? And a lot of Bryce Harper's games on the East Coast where it's earlier in the day.
I think honestly, yes and no. Because every team's going to have highlights on SportsCenter.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I think that really overall boils down to the fact that I'm trying to figure out how I want to describe this.
There we go.
But
sorry, folks, if for whatever reason our mic cut out for a little bit. Like, it said it wasn't picking up, so I don't know. If it cut out, it cut out. But
yeah, but basically,
it's weird. All I did was click on this, and it shows that it's still picking.
Well,
and never,
in case it did cut out, we're basically just talking about Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. And
It was only for like 10 seconds. Okay. So that's why I switched back to this screen, because I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, but
I just wanted to make sure.
I think that it really just overall boils down to the management that was in Washington at the time, and it boils down to them not wanting to allow Bryce Harper to play how he played in every other organization, every other team that he had played up until he got into the majors, which, again, is very depressing, especially because, he was, and still is, a very good talent, but I don't know. He just has to, honestly, for him to get back to the way that he was prior to everything happening, I just think he has to, what I want to see is I want him to get back to how he was when he was in, like, the minors, and how he first was whenever I mean, he wasn't. He was in college. He skipped his senior year of high school to go play a year of college. But I mean, whenever you see Bryce Harper, like a younger Bryce Harper, what do you see? You see the thick eye black with the eye black going down his face. You see like he's just got a, for lack of a better word, swagger about himself, that he knows that he's the best player on his team, and he knows that he can carry a team to a win.
There for a while,
the High Sox. I mean,
there for a while, a lot of the problems that he had, and you could tell was mentally, was he changed his swing. And he almost got to the point where he could, like, he used to be able to drive the ball every which way.
Yeah.
Any which way, every which way.
Now.
And, well, there for a while, he was to the point where they were playing him in a shift because he could not hit the ball up the field.
Yeah.
He's kind of gotten away with that, got away from it now. He's stated he went back to the swing he had back when he first came in the league. I mean, his swing has never really changed all too much, mechanically wise a little bit, but it's the same swing. I mean, when you watch Bryce Harper swing, you know it's Bryce Harper swinging. So I don't know. I mean, we're kind of getting a little off topic when we talk about Bryce Harper, but the Phillies, again, second place in that division. Do they have a chance of winning it? Maybe, but personally, I don't see them being a better team than the Mets.
No,
I don't.
And I mean, the only other team that's really in that division that's going to have an opportunity to make a push for that, I really honestly think is going to be Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta, great team, obviously. They have the reigning NL MVP and Freddie Freeman. They've got Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson.
Yeah,
they have Jock Peterson now.
Because I was gonna say the only way that
Acuna's injured too, by the way.
Yeah, the only way that the Nationals make a run is if Scherzer and Strasburg basically just put the team on their back. And
I mean, again, it's two pitchers, so I mean, you can't really expect them to.
Yeah, and because I mean, personally, going through their lineup, honestly, looking at their depth chart for pitchers, I mean, their starters realistically could be the best in the league, but it's not how they're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, even their lineup, there for a while, Kyle Schwarber put on quite possibly the best.
Yeah.
17 home runs in a month or many days.
Well, I mean, it was one of the most impressive that we'd seen to date until a little bit later on that year, a little later on this year, until Shohei Ohtani just decided that he was Shohei.
So could the Nationals make a run? Possibly. I mean, looking at their team,
they could.
I mean, they easily could, but I don't see it.
Mets. I see it being a Mets, or if the Phillies turn up a little bit better, then yeah.
I mean, like we said, on paper, the Nationals have a fantastic team, but I see it being the Mets. I think before the season started, I might have said Philly.
I don't remember.
We'll
have to go back and look at it and see.
Yeah, I know when we talked about baseball before the season, we made predictions, but
I'll go back and I'll double check those for like the whatever it gets to our predictions for the like after the trade deadline and such.
Oh yeah, well we'll write those ones down.
Yeah, and I'll
unlike when we did these ones, but we will go to the Central.
Yeah.
You want me to read through it since it's probably going to depress you? So in the NL Central, we have the Milwaukee Brewers in first, the Cincinnati Reds 6 games back in second, the Cubs 8 games back in third, the Cardinals 9 games back in fourth, and the Pirates they're in the division.
They're there.
I tell you what, the Pirates are 7-3 in their last 10 games though somehow. So
they might catch the Cardinals,
but I mean. The Brewers being in first, personally, I don't really think that's surprising.
No, I had them. I know for a fact that I said at the beginning of the year that it was going to be probably either the Brewers or the Cardinals winning the division this year.
Yeah, and to be
think
honest, I'm pretty sure I said that
This was St. Louis's division to lose.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said the statement, this is the Cardinals' division to lose. And I know exactly what you were going to say because we already talked about it earlier in this podcast, but I know you're a Cardinals fan, so I want you to kind of put bias aside. Do you think that it's all only related to their injuries, that they're not playing better than what they are? Or do you really think that they might have been a little overhyped this year and they're not as good as what people were expecting them to be?
I'm not going to 100% put this up to injury. However, they have had bad injuries this entire year. Like, if you look at their depth chart, they're two if you looked at their depth chart before the season, they had Jack Flaherty, they had Adam Wainwright, they had Kwon Young Kim, they had Miles Michaelis, and then they had possibly Carlos Martinez as their starters for the year. As of now, Kwon Young Kim and Adam Wainwright are the only two of them left. Jack Flaherty, 60-day DL, or IL now. Miles Michaelis, 60-day IL. Wade LeBlanc is their third starter right now.
I'll give you even more. You're ready for this?
And Jordan Hicks is injured too.
Jordan Hicks is injured. Dakota Hudson's injured.
Yep. Oh, Dakota Hudson. That was
Daniel Ponce de Leon.
Ponce de Leon's injured.
Is injured.
Waddell.
And that's the reason why I wanted to ask you. Obviously, they have had significant injuries. Jack Flaherty is their ace.
Yeah.
Miles Michaelis possibly second or third. So
Dakota Hudson would be their fourth.
Yeah. So I mean, the reason why I wanted to ask that, because I was like, wasn't Kwon Young Kim like a setup or closer?
He was their closer last year, but whenever
Alex Reyes is going to be their closer for right now. I mean,
yeah,
he's pitching fantastic.
Whenever Jordan Hicks comes back, he's their setup guy.
Okay,
Alex Reyes is their closer. Okay. Whenever Kwon Young Kim first came over, he came over as a starter.
Yeah.
But at that time, we still had Wainwright was still pitching well. We still had Flaherty. We had Michaelis. We had Carlos Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
We just didn't have a spot for him in the starting rotation. And now that Martinez isn't a starter anymore,
yeah, well,
he came in,
and that's the reason why I wanted to ask is, obviously as a Cardinal fan for you and a lot of Cardinals fans I talk to is, they're all saying, man, this team just sucks. And
no, I honestly don't think that they suck. It's we do not have our pitching. Like Andrew Miller came over and he was supposed to. I mean, whenever he had come over, the year before was the year that he had the great year with the Indians. He came over and just very, very, very underwhelming.
Well, and my whole thing is, is it disappointing as Cardinals fans when you get a guy like Nolan Arenado and you're 9 games out of first? I understand that. Completely understand it. But crazier things have happened. And
in the same city, actually.
I mean, obviously, I think Michaelis and Flaherty are still out for a while.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to rely on some guys to get back into the division. And I mean, it's not going to be easy by any means, but no. I mean, the thing is, it is possible. The Cubs are possibly selling at the deadline, so there's a team that's ahead of you that honestly you should be able to beat.
Yeah, well,
you should be able to get ahead of them.
And you kind of made a reference to Nolan Arenado, and I mean, honestly. Like, obviously, Nolan Arenado is Nolan Arenado. I mean, you have him. Obviously, he's a good bat to have in the lineup.
Well, and I'm not going to say that, like, one guy is going to make the team.
I'm saying that I think that he is really, honestly, still trying to get used to playing in St. Louis and not playing in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's only hitting .261. He's only got 17 home runs. I mean, 56 RBIs, OPS of 800. So I mean, not bad numbers by any stretch of the imagination, but not the numbers that we expect out of Nolan Arenado.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I mean,
for sure,
even kind of
for sure.
Paul Goldschmidt having a little bit of a down year. I mean, honestly, really the only player that I have really seen that has really impressed me this year has been, well, first of all, Molina's 8 home runs, because that's just not part of his game normally. But
Well, yeah.
the player that has really impressed me the most this year, and the one that I enjoy watching, is, well, two. Tommy Edman, who is their second baseman right now. I mean, I'm just impartial to a guy that can really play anywhere. I mean, play anywhere. Second, short,
Well,
third,
yeah.
anywhere, literally anywhere in the outfield.
I
mean,
know who your number 2 is.
It ain't Matt Carpenter.
Matt Carpenter, man.
It is
Batting
not.
196.
Dylan Carlson.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, their entire team so far this year has been very underwhelming. They haven't hit very well, obviously with the injuries due to their pitching. The one bright spot is, like you said, Alex Reyes. Alex Reyes has been very, very, very good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, first All-Star game this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that kind of had more to do with the fact that they didn't have anybody else to pick on the Cardinals.
Yeah, which okay,
But-
and I was gonna talk about this, but I know Molina was injured, but
Yeah.
do they okay, even though they're injured, do they still count that as making an All-Star appearance?
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Because
I don't think so.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because the first reports that I read were that Molina was going to start because because he beat out Buster Posey or vice versa or something.
I mean, I will say Molina's had a
And-
good year.
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But then, like, I know Molina got injured, so then I think it was the Reds catcher.
Yeah.
Either
was.
the Reds or Phillies catcher started the game.
Reds, I think.
So I'm like, does it still count as Molina making an All-Star appearance? Or
I don't
I
think
didn't
so.
know how that works. So
I don't think so. But
I mean, I personally, I don't think we need to talk about the Cubs, the Reds.
I mean, the Reds are playing a lot better than what a lot of people are thinking or think they have, and I think that's really kind of due to one player, and I'll kind of get to that player a little bit later when we're talking about possible MVPs. But one other thing I wanted to say about St. Louis is just, like, you have obviously you're in a very interesting spot. You know that the Cubs are going to be sellers at the deadline because, like we said before, they've got Rizzo, Bryant, Javi Baez. They've got Contreras. They just got rid of Jock Peterson.
Which was, okay, in my mind, was that not just, like, the most random
Yeah.
thing when
Yeah.
they just signed the guy?
Well, I think,
And-
what I honestly think is that they made that signing and then, like, I don't want to say, like, obviously, because I'm not in a situation to say, like, oh, that was just a bad decision by a GM.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, like, as a person in your front office, you have to be aware that you're coming into a year where you have, I'm not 100% sure, I'm not up to date on what the contract situation is with the Cubs, but I want to say that here in the next, if not this year, next year, you have Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, and Contreras that all need contracts.
I could be wrong.
So you sign Jock Peterson to a contract instead of keeping the team that you have
Yeah.
that was already decent.
I could be wrong, but I want to say Bryant might even be up for a contract at the end of this year.
Yeah, I want to say that
Either him or
those-
Rizzo. I know one of them's up.
I want to say that those four were within like they're either the same year or
Yeah,
back-to-back
and-
years.
Okay.
but as a
I was
GM,
gonna ask your opinion too, because I know that he's expecting to get paid.
he should.
Do you think Chris Bryant should actually get paid as much as he's probably wanting? Personally,
I think the best, And obviously, he's not going to do it because as a player, you never want to play on a 1-year contract. But I think what would be the best deal for a team to make with Chris Bryant would be, well, first of all, this applies to everywhere other than Colorado, maybe the Yankees, and maybe Houston. Those 3 are kind of exemptions to this. But I would say, as their GM, you want to sign him to possibly a 1-year contract. This would be best case scenario. Sign him to a 1-year contract, see what he does outside of a lineup of Anthony Rizzo and Baez and Contreras, where all that power is. Because you have to think, whereas like you have, whether you have Rizzo hitting before him or Rizzo hitting after him, you're also going to have Baez and you're also going to have Contreras. So they have to worry about putting somebody on to face those 2 hitters or those 3 hitters. But if you take him out of that lineup and you put him in a lineup where you're relying on him to hit home runs, you're relying on him to get RBIs, if he doesn't have that help and people can kind of pitch around him, what's that going to do?
Yeah.
But like I said, that's gonna affect. I mean, that's gonna change if you're going to Colorado, where he can just hit bombs most of the time, or
going off of that. Do you also think that they would try to do I'm talking about the Cubs, where they would try to do because I mean, again, I don't know what the contract situation is, who's up, who's not. But would they try to offer him like a 1-year contract with basically the hopes of telling him, hey, after we can get these other guys signed, we're gonna give you an extension based on how much cap room we have you get so much this year, but then it's like backloaded or front loaded, like based on how to get everyone signed again.
You could do that,
but my thing is, knowing the guys that they have to re-sign, there's no way to keep all of them. No chance.
There's not.
I mean, and the reason I say that is, I mean, we talked about with the White Sox. There's no way here in the next 3 years they're going to be able to have a team that consists of Abreu, Moncada, Tim Anderson, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and then adding in a whole bunch of these young stars that are coming up through their farm systems. There's no way.
See, and I think that the real thing here is that I don't think that happened. Like, could it happen? Yes, but I think and if I'm Chris Bryant or I'm his agent, I think the play here is going to be, you're looking at those 4 players with 4 players being Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Contreras. Bryant is the odd man out there. Rizzo is loved in Chicago. Baez is loved in Chicago,
which as he should be.
Yeah, and Contreras is one of the best catchers in baseball.
Yeah.
Bryant is obviously a very solid third baseman. He's a very decent. He's a very good hitter.
I mean, here's my thing. Bryant's loved by the women.
Yeah,
in Chicago because of how he looks.
But the fact is
how he's actually playing.
The fact is that you can get a slightly lower skilled third baseman for far less money than what he is going to want. And I think that Chris Bryant and his agent are going to know that. And I think that they're just going to go and they're going to find the biggest contract that they can get, or B, they're going to find a bridge team like a Colorado where he can put up big offensive numbers.
That's what I was getting ready to say. There is a rumor going around, and like I said, I have not seen this from like a reliable source. That's why I say it's a rumor, but I have seen it from several like smaller media sources that there is a possibility, if the Cubs are selling at the deadline, that the White Sox may try to get Chris Bryant. And here's my thing.
That's interesting.
Well, here's my thing with this. If they got Chris Bryant, obviously they would move Yohan Moncada to second base, which wouldn't be terrible. But I personally I don't know if I would like Chris Bryant in that lineup. So if this is like
I don't like him in that ballpark.
I don't like him in that
ballpark.
Well, I don't like him in that ballpark, but I don't like him in that lineup because
I don't either. But I'm just saying I don't. And just looking at it again from like the vantage point of Chris Bryant or his agent, I don't like that because you're not gonna be moving to a lineup to where you can really show your offensive stats. Because if you're moving to a lineup in Chicago with the White Sox, your stats are really going to be overpowered by a Moncada. They're going to be overpowered by an Abreu. They're going to be overpowered by...
Oh, no, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree
so
with
I
that.
mean, like, I think that if Chris Bryant moves, he goes to a team that, as weird as it sounds, a team that is struggling, that can afford it, where he's going to be the guy, and you're going to see his stats.
Well,
so that way, whenever his contract is up this year or next year...
Yeah.
He can get the money that he thinks that he's worth.
The only reason I would say, because this kind of goes into like what you were talking about earlier, the only reason why I would say possibly he would fit into the White Sox lineup is you wouldn't really be able to pitch around him.
Yeah, me true.
That would be the only reason why. But again, I mean, the White Sox already have enough power in the lineup. What's Chris Bryant known for?
Yeah,
that's basically it. I mean, he doesn't hit for contact. He doesn't hit for average.
You don't know him for his glove.
No, fuck no. So I mean, honestly, in my mind, I would almost want him just to be DH. But the problem is,
that's an interesting aspect.
Well, the problem is they don't need him for DH.
Yeah,
because you have Jimenez coming back. You have Andrew Vaughn.
Short with God. Well, I know that, but I'm saying you have the Crawford boxes in left field. That is a shortened field left.
Oh dang, that's scary.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, have him come in as a DH for Houston.
Well, hey, he probably hit better there too. Give him trash cans. Hey, the fastball's coming.
Yeah. But anyway, so like again, the one thing that I was saying with, like I said, the Cardinals are in a very interesting spot with the Cincinnati Reds playing out of their minds, the Cubs being sellers. That could possibly move the Cardinals up to a second place if they have a good second half, and if the Reds kind of drop down, and possibly even moving into first if they have a really good first or second half. If that doesn't happen, though, at what point do you say, okay, like if they don't make too many moves at the deadline, which I don't expect them to as a Cardinal fan, they never do. But at what point do you say, like, okay, let's start getting our younger players some more time? Like,
I think that's the problem right now with a lot of Cardinals fans is, they don't know what's going to happen at the deadline because, and even as an organization for the Cardinals, I mean, yes, they never make a lot of moves at the deadline, but you really don't know how good your team is because of how many people have been injured.
Yeah, and
it's key injuries. It's not just small guys in the bullpen. It's not just a guy has a tight arm. It's a 10-day. No, these are 60-day DLs.
Yeah,
if not longer. And it's hard to really tell. Okay, how good were we going to be this year if these guys are actually here right now?
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know. I could see them. Staying put. I could see them selling. Maybe, but then again, who do you sell?
Oh, I could give you players.
Well, okay. Here's my thing. I know what one of your players is, and nobody's gonna fucking take him because he sucks.
He's actually not one.
Really?
Nope.
Okay.
So this is strictly operating under the. I love this is just the way that I enjoy the game of baseball being played, the way I think that it should be played, the way that the Cardinals organization has had experience and success in the past with. Number 1, get rid of Paul DeYoung. Number 2, get rid of Tyler O'Neill. Number 3, get rid of Harrison Bader. All of them gone. They strike out too much. They rely too much. They rely too much on the home run ball. Harrison Bader especially. If he doesn't if he doesn't hit a home run, he strikes out.
Personally,
same thing with Tyler O'Neill.
Personally, what sucks for a guy...
I mean, I will say, though...
What sucks for a guy like Harrison Bader...
Great gloves. Great defenders.
I will say what sucks for a guy like Harrison Bader is he has a great glove.
Yeah.
But he can't hit.
He cannot hit.
And...
So, yeah, I'm finding deals for all 3 of them. I'm sending them on their way.
You know a great team that he would fit in with? the Los Angeles Angels. Let him play outfield whenever Shohei Ohtani pitches.
Yeah. Can you DH him instead of Ohtani whenever he pitches?
Or
Can you put in a DH for your right fielder instead of your pitcher? I mean,
that's a good question. I don't know how that would work.
I know you can in high school.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like literally because I'm pretty sure like you pick who you want to DH for.
I'm pretty sure.
So
like I mean, but that's
Ohtani. Hey, you're not well, or even better yet, when he's not when Ohtani's not pitching.
Yeah.
Let him play, because then Ohtani can be like, hey, we're gonna let our pitchers hit, but we're DHing for
Yeah.
But I mean that'd be a weird thing to do in the American League.
Yeah. But I mean honestly, like, and I know a lot of Cardinal fans like Paul DeJong just because he's got a decent glove. He does. I mean he has his moments where he hits well, but
hasn't been too often.
No,
recently
he relies too much on hitting home runs as a shortstop, and I don't like it. Same thing with Tyler O'Neill. He's massive. I don't want to find him in a dark alley, but again, hits home runs, doesn't hit too many singles, doesn't.
Well, and
I mean he's I mean, Tyler O'Neill and Harrison Bader are both very, 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 very fast.
And here's my thing. And it's nothing against Cardinals fans, because obviously, I mean, if I was a fan of that team too, I feel the same way. Fans love the home run ball.
No.
But think of the new age fans.
Yeah,
they love the home run ball. They love people who can hit home runs, but that's not going to win you games. And
no.
If you are a fan of baseball, you will understand, like you said, if you got rid of those players, brought in guys who are going to get on base.
There's a reason why Moneyball worked, or why it, like, the year that the Oakland A's used it.
I mean, yeah.
There's a reason why they had so much success.
Yeah, it's like obviously yes, they did not win the World Series. What did you fucking do? Like
they got to the playoffs.
They worked like it
it's
worked
more than what the Cardinals can probably say this year.
Yeah,
and I mean the thing is that if you operate again under the assumption, like if you take this team and you apply the same characteristics of what the Mets team does, you have Paul Goldschmidt, you have Nolan Arenado, let them hit home runs. Have players like Tommy Edman, Dylan Carlson, Yadier Molina, who get singles, make a couple extra base hits every once in a while. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, go have fun.
Yeah.
If you want to hit a bomb, hit a bomb.
Which I'll be honest, I really wonder if Goldschmidt is kind of feeling that pressure of, hey, I have to be the one to kind of drive in runs, hit home runs, and that's the reason why he's kind of struggling this year.
And I think it's really a combination of that for Nolan and for Paul. I think that they see the other one struggling, and they see like, oh, I need to pick up their slack. But yeah,
I'd agree with that.
But yeah, I think because the Cardinals organization was always a lot better when they relied on the quote-unquote whitey ball, when they were hit and run, steal bases, rely on good pitching, good defense.
Yeah.
You don't see, I mean, they have good defense now for the most part, but they strike out way too much. They rely way too much on home runs to get to score runs.
Well, and
they play station to station when it comes to offense.
And this is my thing with the relying on home runs is Busch Stadium isn't necessarily like
during like July and August, hitter friendly park.
Yeah,
but whenever it's like relatively kind of cold, it's not fun.
But like overall through the whole year, it's really not like a overly hitter friendly park.
It's very neutral.
Yeah,
it's very neutral. Like so on hot days, it can be a hitter's park. On days when it's cold, it's a very much a pitcher's park.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's not necessarily the best ballpark to be trying to swing for fences in.
Yeah. Anyway,
but we'll go on to the West.
Giants
first. Dodgers 1 game back. Padres 5.5, and let's just talk about those three because
so
the Rockies and Diamondbacks are nowhere close in that division. But I think in my mind, a team that I'm kind of surprised with is the Giants. Yeah. Obviously, yes, very good team, and on paper, very good team. But I did not personally have them leading that division at like halfway.
I know for a fact I didn't have them leading the division. I had them second.
You did. Because you had the Padres not making the playoffs, which
I
at
did.
this point, they're
sitting second in the play. They're sitting second in the wild card.
Yeah. And they have a comfortable lead.
4.5 games.
5.
4.5.
It's 5.
It was 4.5 whenever I looked.
Okay, well,
That was going off the MLB website. Which is also like.
Well, they
kinda
must.
weird with
I think they also
statistics,
won.
too.
I think they also won tonight.
Oh,
So
okay.
they beat the
So-
Nationals tonight. That's probably it was suspended, and
yeah.
the Reds lost tonight.
they
I
did.
think.
They
Yes, they lost.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, 5 games, yeah, but I mean, you have an entire still second half baseball to play. So I mean,
Hey, I don't
key
wanna-
injury. If there's, I don't want to say like somebody on the Padres could get injured, or a key player on the Padres could get injured, but it's very possible that something like that could happen, and their productivity goes down, and Cincinnati leapfrogs them, or if the Cardinals decide they want to play baseball for once, then they could leapfrog them.
By the
But
way-
I mean, it's
by the
definitely
way,
possible.
Speaking of the Giants,
They lost to the Cardinals.
the Cardinals beat them today.
Yeah,
Do you want to hear how the Cardinals score their runs?
probably not.
O'Neal, home run. Goldschmidt, home run. There's your runs right there.
Shocker. But yeah, so I mean, Padres are obviously having a good year, 54-40.
Yeah,
Dodgers 57-35.
Okay,
Giants,
I mean,
58-33.
Okay, here's my thing with the Dodgers. It's
Tread water until you get to the playoffs, and then go from there. I mean, that's all that
mean-
they're doing, all that the Giants are doing, and all that San Diego's really going to do until they're forced to.
Yeah, I mean, and
That's just the way it's going to be
I think
until somebody challenges them in the play. And
I want to say I had Dodgers, Padres, Giants
Yeah, you did.
because I said
If not, you might have had Dodgers, Padres, might have been Colorado Giants, but I think you had
Yeah.
Giants, Colorado.
I'm gonna say I know my top two were for sure Dodgers, Padres.
Yeah,
But
either way,
here's my
best
thing.
division in baseball, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean,
The only thing that I think that might
and
take
here's the
away from that is the fact they have 2 teams that are below 500 compared to the AL East that has just 1.
Well, but here's my thing: those
And the worst division.
those top 3 teams all could easily be in the World Series.
But you also have the worst team in baseball in Arizona at
Well,
26 and 68.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and say Arizona is the worst team in baseball and has a run differential of -156.
They also, at the halfway point, have also already been eliminated from playoff contention. That was like a month ago, or like half of a month ago.
That's pretty impressive. If I do say so myself.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, not really
very
too much to
impressive.
talk about in that division, other than the fact that the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres are probably all going to make the playoffs,
Oh yeah.
and that we all expected that already. So
Yeah. So Braden, I want to ask you your opinion.
okay.
Do we want to get into awards, or
Sure.
do we want to just do the top 5 since we're an hour and 42 minutes into it?
I mean, we can kind of just glance over. Some
I
of
I
the
don't really
awards
care.
already.
I'll
I
talk
mean,
however long we want to talk for.
I mean, we can go ahead. I mean, it's not going to take too long to talk about the award races anyway.
All right, what are we starting with?
AL Cy Young.
Okay,
So
I mean,
AL Cy Young, you've got the leading contenders right now being Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, and John Means. Garrett Cole from the Yankees, Carlos Rodon from the White Sox, John Means from the Orioles.
yeah, and we talked about this before we got on the podcast. Personally, and I mean, I'm a White Sox fan, and yes, Rodon's had a great year, but personally, I think Lance Lynn should be the one instead of
I think that
Carlos Rodon.
I think
like,
that
to be
honestly
honest.
just the reasoning behind him, like Lance Lynn not being up there, is just due to the fact that he's missed a couple of starts. And obviously,
yeah, it has to
any
be
pitcher is
because-
gonna miss a couple starts. But I mean, I think he's missed like not quite a few.
Well, I
but
want to say he had
between more than a couple, and less than
yeah,
quite a few.
he had something going. I don't know if it was an injury or if it was like
yeah.
honestly, it might have been like COVID or something. Like that.
Honestly, though, I really kind of think this is at this point in the year. And I mean, Garrett Cole's to lose. I mean, 10-4, 2.63 ERA,
I mean, I would-
below 1 WHIP.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, he's got 14 quality starts, so
Obviously Lance Lynn does have a better ERA, but I want to say all the other stats that we just talked about, it's
Garrett Cole's had a pretty good year. I mean, 10-4. I mean,
yeah.
on a team that's
not
fourth in their division.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I agree. It's probably Garrett Cole. At this point, it's Garrett Cole's to lose.
Unless
I will say
Rodon or somebody has an incredible second half, and
I will
Garrett
say
Cole has a mediocre one.
If he keeps up how he has been pitching, Lance Lynn could make a run for Cy Young. But yeah, I'd have to say you're probably correct. It's probably Garrett Cole. So.
Yeah.
We don't even talk about National League. We already did.
And Cy Young, DeGrom.
DeGrom.
I'll just run over a few of his stats really quick. He's 7-2. He has an ERA of 1.08. Yes, you heard that right. 1.08 earned run average. He's allowed 14 total runs, 11 of which were earned.
Yeah.
He's got a WHIP, which is walks and hits per inning pitched, is 0.55. So he allows like a hit or a walk every 2 innings.
Yeah.
His batting average against, so hitters are hitting 1.129 against him, and he's got 11 quality starts.
Yeah.
And he's been injured with tightness in his arm.
Yeah. And like we talked about earlier, as long as he does not miss the entire second half with an injury, it's his Cy Young to lose.
Yeah.
I
will say that each kind of one gave 2 to 3 options. I kind of ignored the other 2 and wrote Jacob DeGrom for the 3 options.
Well, yeah, because it's. I'm gonna be honest. It's his to lose, and just looking at. I'll just look at the National League real quick and just kind of. So pitching leaders for wins are Kyle Hendricks, Julio Urias, but when you go to ERA, maybe the only one who might have a case at Cy Young would be maybe Kevin Gossman.
I know he was the second, the runner up, but
and maybe
pretty far behind.
Maybe Brandon Woodruff.
He was the third one.
But other than that, I personally don't think that, it's Jacob DeGrom to lose.
And just looking at the injury report for Jacob DeGrom is he was just shut down with forearm tightness. He underwent an MRI on Saturday, which was yesterday. Well, when this was filmed, kind of, and there was no structural damage. So, in that he experienced similar tightness in a bullpen before the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
So, nothing that he hasn't been dealing with already. I think they just kind of shut him down so he didn't pitch in the All-Star game because he would have been the starter, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, so Jacob DeGrom's to lose. We'll talk about MVP possibilities here.
Do you want to go AL?
Let's go AL first. Okay. So, according to the website that I was looking at, they had Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as the front runner, sitting at a .335 average, 30 home runs, and 77 RBIs. Obviously, very
in 107
good.
107 hits.
So, also obviously a very good season so far. I think that we are both under the assumption that he should be sitting second right now.
I
personally would think that way, but
yeah, personally, I like that he's in first, but
I don't think so.
I think it's going to come down to how well Shohei Ohtani can pitch.
See, and obviously he's the quote-unquote runner-up, according to this website. He's hitting .274, has 33 home runs, 72 RBIs, and then that's his hitting stats. His pitching stats are he's 4-1. Mm-hmm. He's got a 3.49 ERA, a WHIP of 1.21, an opponent's average of 195, and 6 quality starts. So his average is lower. He has more home runs. He has slightly less RBIs. He's not playing as often as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is, and he's also pitching.
That's true.
And he's the ace of their staff.
I think
So
I think in my mind what it comes down to, what it's going to come down to is which team finishes better.
See, and the thing is,
it's terrible to say that.
All straight up, it's such a bullshit way of in Major League Baseball saying, "Oh, this player was more important to their team because their team won more games." No, like the thing, and the person honestly that said it best is J.J. Watt. He put out a tweet that said that Ohtani is one of the best hitters in baseball. He's, on an insane pace where he was where it was like over 7 games had like 8 or 9 home runs.
Yeah,
and then in those 7 games, like pitched 7 or 8 innings with like 2 hits, gave up 2 hits and no runs, and also hit a home run in that game, and so he was pitching and hitting well, and there's no other player in baseball that is pitching and hitting, and he's doing it with the best pitchers and batters in the league, and there's no he is the most valuable player because this is the most valuable asset that you can have. So
I think
if they had with I believe football just has 1 MVP, right? It's not between the 2 leagues. It's just one overall.
Yeah, it's just 1 MVP.
So if they had the overall didn't have a National League MVP or an AL MVP, it was just major MLB MVP, that should be him. He is the most valuable player for any franchise in baseball. And it needs to be that way instead of, this was the best player on the best team. Yes, most valuable player, not most valuable player on a good team.
Yeah, personally, the reason why I think they have Guerrero is the fact that he leads major leagues in average. I'm pretty sure he's 4th in wins above replacement.
Who leads the league in home runs?
I get that. He also has 30.
Yeah.
He's in second. He's in second. He leads the league in RBIs.
Shohei's only 5 behind him.
He leads the league in on-base percentage. Leads the league. Okay.
See, I definitely see
second. He's second by .001 to Shohei Ohtani's slugging percentage.
I definitely see what you're saying. I'm just saying that I definitely think that.
And I think the other thing that helps is in 8 more at bats than Shohei Ohtani, he has 22 more hits. I'm just trying to say.
I definitely see the case you're making for Vlad, and don't get me wrong. I agree that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is having a great year. He's hitting .335 while hitting 30 home runs.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen often, but I think more people need to be aware and I think that more people need to put into perspective what Ohtani is doing. This hasn't been done since Babe Ruth, where players pitching and hitting with this level of
I'm definitely
skill.
I'm definitely not saying that.
I just don't think there's any other player that can be named MVP for the type of stuff that Ohtani is doing.
I just personally would say that the other reason why I would personally I do have it as Guerrero Jr. right now with a very, very slight over Shohei, and I think it's because yes, he's pitching and he's hitting, but his pitching numbers aren't as great as what they could be. And I think that's the reason why. But I also understand. Yes, he's doing both. Well, it's way more impressive the fact that he's doing both and being that guy for his team than just somebody who hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here's an argument that I have for you. Okay. So earlier in the year, everybody was obviously I'm not going to compare. Well, I am going to compare, but Jacob deGrom, Shohei Ohtani. Okay.
Okay.
Jacob deGrom earlier in the year had more RBIs than he had runs allowed. He also was leading his team in hits and things along those lines. Everybody was making such a big deal about that because he was a pitcher that was leading his team in hits. Mm-hmm. He had more RBIs than he had earned runs allowed.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Shohei Ohtani was a pitcher first. He is an ace on their staff.
I mean,
he is their ace, so therefore he is a pitcher first. And plus, I don't even think he honestly plays the field that much. I think he is mostly a DH. So he's a pitcher first.
He plays DH most of the time.
Yeah, so I mean he's a pitcher first. So what's the difference between Jacob deGrom doing that for a short period of time and Shohei Ohtani doing that for an entire year? Like, why is the fact that Ohtani does both and is more well known for doing both take away from the fact that deGrom is a pitcher and doing things like that?
Yeah,
but it's more amazing because he isn't known for hitting.
And I'll be honest, because
it's the same thing.
I can't remember is the MVP voted on by fans or is it okay? So I mean, personally, if at the end of the year, it's probably going to be Ohtani, unless. The only way
I don't see a way why it shouldn't be Ohtani.
The only way and the reason why I say it's going to be Ohtani is, personally speaking, I don't think Guerrero Jr. is going to be able to keep up hitting 335.
He could. He's out for the first half.
I get that. I really do. I like it. Don't get me wrong. He has played fantastic. But I just, I don't see him keeping that up, and obviously, I mean, all Shohei has to do is, and I'm just saying this based on what the standings they have right now. All Shohei has to do is win a couple more games pitching, and maybe lowers ERA, and he's fine.
See,
you see what I'm saying,
though? I mean, but the thing is that he should have done enough already for him to be leading the conversation.
Well, and like I said,
I think it's not something that has happened since Babe Ruth, and just think of a couple years ago whenever Miguel Cabrera hit for the triple crown. Sorry,
yeah,
and how big of a deal that was, and that hadn't been done in less time than that. And nobody, I can't say nobody, but there is far less of a big deal being made about Shohei Ohtani pitching and hitting to the caliber that he is. Well, this hasn't been done since the 1930s.
I think the problem, though, is when you think of like Babe Ruth doing it, and obviously, I'm not going to say I know like what Babe Ruth's pitching stats were. Or
not as good as Shohei's,
but a lot of people always think of, oh, well, he was a great pitcher and hitter. No, he was mainly known for hitting.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's so much the fact of he's only hitting 273. I really don't know what it is. I was just trying to go through stuff that obviously Guerrero Jr. is leading and beating him in. But
I think if you take Shohei Ohtani out of the picture, obviously yes, great. Like he is by far obviously, but I don't think that you can look away from the fact that Ohtani is pitching and hitting at the caliber that he is. Like if his pitching record is 4-6 and he's having a mediocre pitching performance, okay, yeah, but he's 4-1. He's had 6 quality starts. He's allowing an average of less than 200. He has a whip of less than 1.5.
Well, and I also wonder if a lot of it is the reason, because wasn't he injured for a little bit from pitching?
I don't think so.
I'm almost positive that he was.
He might have been, but I don't think that he was out for long. But it's still away from the fact that people, I don't know. I don't know if it's really the fact that he came into the league knowing that or with the idea that people knowing that he could hit and he can pitch, and that people are just kind of looking over it like, oh yeah, it's old news. This is incredible for somebody to be a high caliber pitcher like this and be a high caliber hitter. Like it's not something that we've seen in our lifetime.
No,
probably won't be something we see again in our lifetime.
and don't get me wrong. That's why I'm saying like I give just the slight edge to Guerrero Jr. Mainly, and for me, it's mainly just because, I mean, Guerrero Jr. has been going off as well. And personally, I think what it comes down to is a lot of the writers only want to look at offensive numbers.
And that's the thing,
and because the reason why I say that is because think about what baseball is going towards now. Instead of people wanting to see those 1-0 pitching duel games, people are wanting to see the 10-8 home run driven games which again, yes, Ohtani leads the league in home runs. So it's
if you want to take that argument, Shohei Ohtani's 4-1.
Yeah.
As a pitcher.
Well, and here's my thing.
He leads the league and he's not allowing home runs.
Yes, and the reason why I give the slight advantage to Guerrero Jr. is because the writers already put him at number 1. I mean, personally, I think it's even, if not even slightly towards Shohei. But if the writers are already putting Guerrero Jr. at number 1, then my guess is Shohei's going to have to do something in the second half of the season to prove. And again, I mean, yeah, you're right.
What more honestly can he do? Like,
lower his ERA. I mean, I'm just trying to say. I mean, I really don't know. Lower his ERA or raise his batting average. I mean, that's really all he can do.
See, but
I mean, honestly, that's all he can do.
And I 100% agree with you that what they're doing is they're looking at. Okay, Vladimir Guerrero's hitting 335. Shohei's hitting 274.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I understand that. But what's Vladimir Guerrero doing on days that, what is he doing compared to what is Shohei doing? You can't just look at offensive stats while a player is pitching and
I think
you can't just look at one aspect of a player when they're having because so here's a great example. If Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has a great offensive year and has a great defensive year, okay, that's 2 separate awards. You have your MVP, you have a silver three. You have your MVP, Silver Slugger, and you have a Gold Glove. Mm-hmm. And obviously, yes, you have an MVP and you have a Cy Young for hitters and pitchers.
Yeah,
but you're not going to take into effect a player's fielding stats for an MVP. You're not going to take in a pitcher's hitting stats for a Cy Young.
Yeah.
So, why can't the MVP be? I mean, is it most valuable player? Is what MVP stands for. How is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. a more valuable player based on his offensive numbers than Shohei Ohtani based on his offensive numbers and his pitching numbers?
Well, I mean,
he has won more games for his team because of his hitting and his pitching than Vladimir Guerrero has won for his team by his hitting.
I mean, I'll give you.
I cannot be moved off of that statement right there. There's
I'll give you just,
that's the only if somebody can explain to me.
Well, but I'll give you just kind of a vice versa type thing. I forgot who the pitcher was, but it was several years back. Well, they're like, oh, this might be the first. This might be a pitcher to win, the MVP, and he finished 4th in MVP voting. So I guess when it comes to MVP, how much do they actually look at pitching?
I don't think.
Do you see what I'm saying? I think we agree. Not trying to get over to the NL MVP side, but I think we agree that at this point in time, DeGrom should win NL MVP as well.
Depending on how his injury goes. And
yes. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, for whatever reason, the writers are looking more at offensive numbers, which if you compare Guerrero Jr. to Shohei, Guerrero Jr. is beating Shohei in offensive numbers. Not home runs, but
depending on the offensive numbers that you look at, yes.
Yeah, so it's like, if that's what they're looking at, yes, I can understand why he's ahead. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I agree with you. He's doing double the amount of work and having to, rehab from starts in a short amount of time to be able to be DH the next day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I completely agree with where you're coming from. I'm just saying, like, based on what the writers, whatever they're doing is...
Well, they're looking strictly at a... Well, now just an analogy here. They're looking at one side of a coin when there's two. Like they're looking at a one-dimensional object they're looking at one dimension when an object is three-dimensional. Like it's just one thing. They're looking at just the flat surface of something and saying this is what we need. This is what we're comparing players on. So completely underneath the surface is something completely different, and how much.
If we go, so I'm gonna give you something else, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, Shohei Ohtani's ERA is a 3.49, which completely understand that's not a great ERA, but
not the best.
If
but
you
it's
take
definitely been worse.
If you take his wins above replacement, which is 1.9, on the fact that he also has 6 quality starts in 13 games started. He's 4-1, but 6 quality starts. 1.9 wins above replacement for pitching. His wins above replacement for batting is okay, never mind. It changed things. He's at 3.6.
So 1.9, 4.6.
That's 5.5. I will tell you that Guerrero Jr.'s wins above replacement is less than that. I'm pretty sure it's like 4.5.
It should be
4.5.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I don't know what. Like I would say, I'm just trying to brainstorm like what they're trying to look like, what they're looking at, and
they're looking at offensive numbers.
and why he's ahead.
They're literally,
have they said like number wise like percentage of points or whatever?
No. It's just what they were. It was literally just like. This is what like his numbers are, and he's the front runner, and then Shohei is underneath that, and it gave his numbers.
I got you.
So
this is was this where you looked?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this. A panel on MVP poll, which this was July 3rd, so I mean a little while ago, before 23 of 28 first place votes were for Shohei Ohtani.
Okay, as they should be.
So. But I don't know who they polled.
See, I think what had happened, or what like the.
Oh, here we go. A panel of MLB.com experts. So I will tell you that this article does say that, and this was obviously on July 3rd.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking
Vegas odds to win. Honestly, Vegas odds to win NL MVP is Jacob deGrom.
Yeah.
And again, the favorite to win AL is Shohei Ohtani.
So
in Vegas,
I'm thinking what that article that I was reading was, what it was like taking. I think it was taking into effect the performance that Guerrero Jr. had in like the All-Star game as well. Which
it must have, because I'll be honest, dude.
Because I will say Guerrero Jr. had a great All-Star game, but
yeah.
It's still
because even the CBS Sports.com, it's Shohei.
So and that's the way it should be.
Unanimous.
And me personally, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a way that you can put Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over Shohei.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, the only reason why I had Guerrero Jr. over was because according to like that article you read, they had him over.
See,
and I was like, if they already have him over now, I don't know how else to say Shohei deserves to be over him, because the writers, obviously, I don't know what they're looking at, but are basically saying, oh, well, he deserves to be over.
Yeah, I don't think
he does, but
regardless of whether like whoever, like if the Riders have Guerrero first or Shohei first, or I just don't think that there is a way that you could have a player like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over a player like Shohei, just because based on the numbers that Guerrero or that Shohei has put up. Granted, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has had a great year, but he hasn't had as great of a year, like perspective-wise, wins above replacement-wise, and value-wise, as Shohei.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But getting off of AL MVP, NL MVP,
I mean,
probably.
I think it's probably a 2-horse race. Maybe 3. Nick Castellanos is playing pretty well too.
But yeah,
but
DeGrom.
I think it's either DeGrom or Tatis.
Yeah, DeGrom. I read off his numbers earlier, but I'll say them again because they're crazy. 7-2 record, 1.08 ERA, 0.55 for a WHIP, 129 average against, and 11 quality starts compared to Tatis Jr.'s average of 296, 28 home runs, and 64 RBIs.
Well, and I just looked it up. So Tatis has a 4.8 wins above replacement. Okay, this is in 78.5 games played. DeGrom, which he's only played in 15 games, has a 4.3.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. If what it's going to come down to is, again, if DeGrom can stay healthy.
Yeah.
If DeGrom is gone with his injury for a while, because I know today it was forearm tightness or arm tightness or something like that.
Forearm tightness, yeah.
Then that's going to play a role. But my thing is, like we talked about, this might be one of the best pitching performances we've ever seen.
Yeah.
In baseball history. So, for him, in my mind, for him not to win MVP, if he has one of the best pitching years ever, is a disgrace.
Yeah.
Especially for some other players who have been pitchers and won MVP.
Yeah.
I think it would be. Obviously, we talked about Cy Young is DeGrom's to lose.
Yeah.
But I think MVP in my mind
also probably DeGrom's
is DeGrom's to lose as well.
Unless Tatis has a fantastic second half, or if DeGrom gets injured.
Here's my thing. Even with Tatis, though, I mean he's only hitting
296.
285 is what this says.
Oh.
So I wonder if that was going into today's game.
That could have been.
But I mean, he's not even leading his own league. He's not even top 3 in his own league in average.
Yeah.
Obviously he's doing pretty well in home runs. I mean,
28.
He has 28. But I don't personally.
Yeah.
I don't think he's really doing as well as what people think he is. I mean, yeah, it's Tatis. It's the name at this point.
Yeah.
But in my mind,
DeGrom.
In my mind it's DeGrom. But I mean, even in the National League,
I'd almost have to say Castellanos over.
And that's
Castellanos is hitting 330, at least based on the stats that I got from MLB.
Yeah, he's hitting 330
18
with
home runs.
59 RBIs.
18 home runs.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously,
and he's carrying that Reds team.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, wins above replacement, not close, but I don't. The only thing I guess with Castellanos that you could say is he has struck out a lot.
But I mean, again, it also runs back to to my point of who is more valuable, who is the most valuable player, and to Fernando Tatis, this is kind of maybe examining it a little bit too far, but if you take Tatis off of the Padres, you still have Hosmer. You still have
Machado.
You still have Machado. you take Castellanos off of the Reds, they've got Suarez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, a guy that I don't know if he's up there in the National League is Adam Frazier.
Oh, the other player that they had mentioned was Max Muncy.
Yeah, and I mean,
he'd be they had him second or like third, but
I get why.
I'd have Castellanos over him too.
I mean, I'd have Castellanos over him, but I mean, personally, I think Adam Frazier is right up there with them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the only reason why Adam Frazier wouldn't be up there is home runs. He only has 4, but he's hitting 328 with. Whoa, I didn't know what that was. He's hitting 328 with 31 RBIs. I mean,
Yeah.
on a Pirates team that sucks.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but we will
So yeah.
end it here. Or do we
Well,
got
top 5.
Oh, top 5, duh. I'm an idiot. Okay. The
All
top
right.
5 is most memorable baseball moments.
Well,
times.
and I guess really the better way to describe it would be moments that, like, yes, best moments in baseball, but also like moments that we wish that we had seen and had
Oh, in person. Yeah.
the wish that we had seen like
Yeah.
in person. If you follow our Facebook page, which if you don't, you should.
Yeah.
I
The link will
posted-
be in the description.
Yeah,
so.
I posted a picture that was from NBC Sports that said like what was one sporting event that you had that you've that you've witnessed or wish that you had witnessed in your life and been there for, and just kind of put our own little twist on it, made it for baseball.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean we've got a couple honorable mentions, obviously, like we
Yeah.
always do. It's
Yep.
too hard to narrow these lists down to 5.
So do you want to do one of yours or you want me to do one of mine?
I'll go ahead and go first, just
Okay.
considering that, like, I know you talked before about this one, but
Okay.
the shot heard around the world, honorable mention for me. For those that don't know what it is, there's a 3-game pennant race between the Dodgers and Giants. I don't know what year it was, but
Yeah,
basically the Giants go into the bottom of the 9th inning down by 2 in the 3rd game, and Bobby Thompson, which was the Giants player, hit a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 9th to win the NL pennant. I mean, one of the more famous calls in baseball history. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. So, honorable mention.
Oh, I must say I did not have that one.
I know, that's why I put it. I mean, that's not why I put it in there, but
One of mine is the consecutive game streak from Cal Ripken.
Ripken, yeah. Honorable mention in mine was the Jeter flip play. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
So, it was the 2001 ALDS Game 3 where there was a ball that was being relayed in from the outfield to try and catch a runner at home plate from scoring, and the ball from the outfield was overthrown. Jeter read the throw was being overthrown, and he went and from his position at shortstop ran to the foul territory on the first base side to catch the ball or to field the ball, which was at that point rolling practically, and then backhand flip the ball to their catcher and tag the runner out at home, which would have put them, which was in the 7th inning. It was in the 7th inning, but I want to say it was going to put Oakland ahead in the game.
Yeah.
And I want to say that was actually a clinching game for Oakland.
That part
Because I think
can't remember.
2001 was that Moneyball?
It was close.
Because it would have been around there.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wouldn't have been. No, it wouldn't have been Moneyball, but that would have been the year before Moneyball started, because it was 2002. Because the person that they tagged out at the plate was Jason Giambi.
Yeah.
So that was the year that Oakland had won 2 in a row and then lost 3 straight to New York.
Which is funny that,
because he joined the Yankees the next year in 2002. So yeah, that's what
the rest is history.
That's what made Moneyball.
Yeah.
So
another one of mine is, I'll see which one I want to go next. David Freese, we will see you tomorrow night.
Okay.
We're talking about like in person.
Yeah, we're talking about in person.
Not the whole, Joe Buck, worst calls possibly ever to watch on TV. And we will see you tomorrow night. Yeah, Joe Buck. Way to be like just really into the fucking moment. Like, you know how huge that was?
Yeah. My next one was Jackie Robinson stealing home in the 55 World Series.
Oh man, that'd have
been pretty cool to see.
Not gonna lie, I did not have that either, but that would have been
because I don't
a good one.
I don't believe that anybody had stole home. I don't know about. Well, I'm sure somebody had stole home before, but
not in like that kind of game.
Not in a World Series.
Yeah,
game. That was game 1 too.
Yeah,
one of the 55 World Series.
I'm pretty sure not like in a moment like that either.
Yeah,
so I'm pretty sure they might have either been tied or down.
Yeah,
I could be wrong about
That's
that.
incredible. But crazy.
Another one of mine is the Lou Gehrig,
the retirement speech.
Yeah,
I'm considering myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Like actually be there to like watch that speech.
Yeah.
Like that would have been pretty sick.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, some of mine have nothing to do with like actual plays.
That was one of mine too. Let's see. Oh, the Willie Mays catch over the shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Like
that
obviously
might have been one of my.
That
nope. I didn't
it's one play, so it's not like you're watching the entire game. But
yeah,
it'd been cool. Just to
still.
see like the number of highlight reels that's on and the importance, not necessarily the importance of that catch, but like the.
You say
times, the times that's shown like on highlight reels, to say that you were there and saw that would be incredible.
Yeah.
You should have one more, I think, right?
Another what?
You should have one more or 2 more.
I have 3 more, but
honorable mentions.
Yeah, I thought I had 11, like total.
Oh.
Yeah.
Give me 2 then.
Okay, 2 right now.
Yeah.
All right. Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier.
Okay.
And like his first game.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to. That would be cool to watch. Babe Ruth calling a shot.
Yeah.
Like that would have been awesome to just be at a game. A guy just sticks his fucking bat out, and then hits it there.
Yeah.
Like that would have been sick.
And it's obviously been debated if that's what actually happened, but
I mean,
that's just the story.
I'm gonna agree with the story. Okay.
I'm gonna agree with the story too. It's a baseball legend.
Well, yeah.
Then my last honorable mention is the Mike Piazza home run after 9/11.
Well, that kind of that kind of goes into like roughly the same thing as mine, but mine was David Ortiz's speech after Boston bombing.
Boston bombing. We are Boston strong. Yeah.
This is our fucking city.
Yeah.
Probably like the greatest.
But yeah, I mean, Piazza's home run after like 9/11, just to know how like crazy that crowd was. And just the feeling of how badly that city needed it.
You want me to go into my number 5?
Yeah.
Kind of going off of the 9/11. President Bush
throwing out first pitch. I mean, to be in like the actual like New York.
Well, just to be there for that game, I think what it was the reason why I was like,
yeah.
And I mean, obviously the Piazza homer and like everything, but just being there for that game because that was a World Series game. Well, President Bush like throwing out.
Oh well, yeah.
I don't know if like yours was actually a World Series game.
It wasn't,
but.
Because that would have been, that would have been shortly after September 11th.
Yeah, like President Bush throwing out the pitch.
No, it wasn't. The game I'm talking about wasn't.
No, but
because that was like the first game back.
Yeah, but I mean, President Bush throwing out the first pitch of. I'm pretty sure that was World Series Game 3.
And that was whatever he did that he was like he had like a. New York City Fire Department jacket on.
Yeah.
Like not like the actual fireman jacket, but he had like a fleece.
But I mean, it just that moment.
Yeah.
I still remember watching that on TV. So
Yeah. So my number 5 is Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's home run record.
Okay.
Because I don't consider Barry Bonds to have broken his record.
Well, I don't consider Barry Bonds. I mean, here's my thing.
I just don't.
To
Barry
Bonds,
Hank Aaron is still the home run king.
Yeah. I mean, Barry Bonds had a very
There's a reason why he hit that many.
great swing, but I mean,
There's a reason why he hit that many and why his decline was so big after they had found out about steroids.
Well, yeah.
Same reason with
my
McGwire
number
and Sosa.
My number 4 is the Willie Mays catch.
Okay.
So
My
we
number-
talk about that.
My number 4 is the Babe Ruth calling a shot. Big moment.
Again, we gotta talk about it, but
Yeah.
huge moment. A number 3 is the Jeter flip play.
Yeah.
I mean, just like being there to witness that in person, where you're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" and does
Yeah.
that. I mean, that would
great
have been,
game too. Like,
Yeah,
obviously,
that would have
great
been
game to
just.
see.
I mean, but just that play alone, that would have been sick to watch.
Yeah.
Like, just be like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" And then like, "Oh shit!" Like that was like one of the best plays I've ever witnessed in person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would have been cool.
Then my number 4 would be, or 3, sorry. 3 would
think.
be the home run that Albert Pujols hit off of Brad Lidge in the 2005 ALCS or NLCS Game 5. So, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, going into the top of the 9th inning, the Astros, which were then in the National League, had
Oh, believe me, I know they were in the National League. 'Cause who won the World Series that year? The White Sox did.
no
2005
Yeah.
was White Sox against Astros.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking.
White Sox swept them.
I'm thinking of NLDS with it being Game 5. But
I'm just letting you know.
yeah,
Don't you worry. I know when the White Sox won the World
Well,
Series.
Game 6 was the game that the Astros beat the Cardinals to go.
Yeah,
Because the Cardinals were down to their last inning of the season when this happened.
Yeah.
So the Cardinals were down by 2 in the top of the 9th inning after Lance Berkman had hit a 3-run home run to go up 4-2. Yeah. To go up 4-2 against the Cardinals in the 7th, I think. And Pujols comes up with 2 runners on and absolutely annihilates a pitch from Brad Lidge.
If I remember it correctly, wasn't this the one that landed like on top of like where the train goes around?
It landed past the train tracks.
Well, that's what I mean. But like, it like
so
hit
as soon
up
as
there,
as soon as Pujols hit the ball, you see Brad Lidge go down to a squat and have his hands on his head. So the ball, if anybody's familiar with Houston's ballpark, it landed above the Crawford boxes, back where the train goes across the tracks.
Yeah.
And it landed past the train tracks.
Yeah. I mean, it was
one of the most memorable home runs
in
LCS history.
Yeah, it was a bomb.
Yeah. To say the least.
Back when Pujols was in his prime.
Yeah,
so.
that was a shot.
My number 2 is Kirk Gibson's home run in the World Series. Not because I'm a Dodgers fan by any means, but like the guy couldn't walk, so it was literally just all arms. And to like to watch that in person and be like, what the this guy is going up here mainly just for like, I mean, to be honest, you almost thought that he just went up there for like a feel good story, and then he just hits a bomb.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would have been cool to experience in person.
My number 2 is Game 6 of the 2011 World Series. Not like a play in general. I mean,
no, I got you.
Being there, I mean, that's seen as one of the greatest World Series games of all time.
Yeah. So
and for those who don't know,
that's
the David Freese.
That is the David Freese home run. But
more
that
specifically,
game in general was just unreal.
I mean, because they were down by 2 in the bottom of the 9th, and David Freese comes up and hits a triple off of the wall in right field. Yeah, I'm gonna say triple because Nelson Cruz didn't catch it, and he didn't hit his glove, so it's not an error.
This is all. No, this is all I'm gonna say.
He
You
caught the
have
ball, yes.
any other player in MLB
You have any outfielder in the MLB.
in right field?
Yeah, that's getting caught.
The Cardinals do not win that World Series.
Well, that just goes back.
I'm just saying. Like
I agree.
That
100%.
was
any other outfielder in Major League Baseball makes that catch.
because I remember watching that, and literally it goes right over his glove. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Well, I mean, there's a reason why he's a DH and he's not an outfielder. But
yeah, no shit.
this being in St. Louis, yeah.
I mean,
And think about
yeah.
it. Think about it this way: that was one of the last years that the All-Star game gave home field advantage to the winning team. That was one of the only one of the only times in recent history that the NL won that game. If they didn't win that game, they're in Texas and there's an NL and there's a DH and he's DH and they have a right fielder there.
that is true.
So if that's in Texas, that's ball game.
Hey, guess what?
It wasn't though. They won.
9.
So
And the rest is history.
So yeah, so they were down.
By the way, that's also one of the last World Series they won too.
That's fine.
Because
Recent White Sox was 05, so
I mean that's true, but
they also won 11.
but the 12 and 12 and
Well, it didn't happen.
and all that, and they're like, nope, not gonna happen.
I mean, 12 and 12 could happen in 30-12. I mean, with how bad they're playing.
30-12. I mean, could.
I'm just saying.
That's.
But yeah, so down to hitting a triple off the wall, and then tying the game on that triple, and then Josh Hamilton hitting a 2-run home run in the 10th to
Josh
put Texas
Hamilton.
ahead. To put Texas ahead.
Name. Oh, that's another like honorable mention. Josh Hamilton's home run derby,
Oh yeah,
where he just
Bobby
goes
Abreu.
off.
Home run derby.
Okay, I mean, I like that one, but not as much as Josh Hamilton hitting
Yeah.
28.
But Josh Hamilton hitting a home run in the 10th, and then Lance Berkman hitting a 2-run broken single in the bottom of the 10th, and then David Treese coming up in the bottom of the 11th to lead the inning off, and
By the way, I don't know what's more.
we will see you tomorrow.
I don't know what's more memorable, Joe Buck's call or the dude that went to go get the freaking home run ball.
He just fell on it.
Like falling like just straight on it with like 10 other people trying to jump on.
Oh, I do that too. I'm 100%. If I'm in that position, I'm getting on that ball, and I'm just
Well, the best part is like the
tucking.
like the attendants trying to stop people from. Somebody's getting that damn ball.
Yeah.
Sorry, but like
I mean,
someone's
one of
getting
the
that
most
ball.
iconic pictures of like, I don't know. I don't want to say like in baseball history, but like is like David Freese like getting out of that mob and his jersey being ripped to
Yeah.
shreds.
Yeah.
As it should be. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I don't know what's more iconic. That mob or like his triple where like I'm pretty sure his helmet's off his head and he's just like
his helmet's off of his head, his knees are on the base, and he's
Yeah.
just. I mean, yeah.
that's pretty like for Cardinals that's pretty iconic.
Also, the fact that he's literally staring into the Texas dugout as he does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think. Well, and here's my thing, and I've told people this numerous times. David Freese could literally do whatever the fuck he wants in the rest of his career, and he will be a god in St. Louis.
Oh yeah, he
And-
owns an emos in
Well,
St.
yeah.
Louis.
Well, and here's my other thing.
He can retire in St.
like,
Louis.
That St. Louis fans are like, oh, David Freese is like a really great player. Like
No.
honestly,
He's a great player.
the guy had one great postseason.
I mean,
That's about it.
I mean, he had one great postseason, but I mean, great
Well,
postseason, like all-time postseason.
Like all time great. But what I'm saying is, a lot of Cardinals fans are like, "Oh, David Freese is like
Yeah.
a really great player for." He had one great postseason.
He was a really good player for the
I mean-
Cardinals, though. Like after he left St. Louis, he kind of died off, but he was a really good Cardinal, to be honest.
He didn't just die off. He like
Yeah.
committed suicide in his career.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just kidding.
But to be fair, he did like. I want to say he was. I mean, he went to the Angels.
Then
But
then
he
went
was
to
in
Pittsburgh,
and
he went
he was
to a lot
in.
of, he went to a lot of
I want
teams.
to say he
I
was
don't know
also
where
in
he's at
Cincinnati. No, he wasn't in Cincinnati.
now. No, he went to a lot of different teams.
He did. I think he bounced around the NL for a little bit, or bounced around.
My number one is
Don't take it, please.
what?
My number one.
I won't because this was an honorable mention for you. Hank Aaron breaking the record.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm just
How do
being
you
honest.
not have my number one in yours? And you're like honorable mentions at all.
Hey, that.
You know what my number one is.
I mean, I probably do, but hey, that was my number
I
one.
mean,
man.
yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, because
Break-
me and
breaking
you
the-
both think that
breaking the home run record.
I mean, me and you both think that he's still the home run record.
I'm gonna go
holder,
ahead
so-
and go ahead and say yours. I'm assuming I probably know what it is.
What do you think it is?
Just go ahead and say it, Braden.
My number one is Derek Jeter's final at bat, final
Yeah.
game.
Well, okay. Another honorable mention that I was gonna say from mine was Robin Ventura getting his ass kicked.
By Nolan Ryan.
By Nolan Ryan.
It's the only time that anybody's ever gotten 6 hits off of Nolan Ryan.
That's true.
But it just happened to be Nolan Ryan hit him 6 times in the face.
That's true.
But to me, this was like, not only was it like a good feel-good story, great moment, like, this is like Derek Jeter is my favorite baseball player of all time. And for me to be able to see his last at bat in his home stadium where he hits a walk-off single.
Yeah, that would've been sick.
Like, I mean,
That would've
there's
been sick.
nothing that could top that for me. Like, I mean, obviously, being at Game 6 would have been crazy, but for me to be able to see this and have it like hit home like that, where it's my favorite player.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
Well,
there's no better way to send off your. I mean, okay, winning World Series, but
well,
that wasn't happening that year.
but I think the best part about that specific at bat is it also happened in New York.
See, and the thing is that it was also the way, like, just the way that it all happened.
Yeah.
And, I mean, his typical Derek Jeter hit, slapping it through the right side because there was an open, they were playing infield in, but he hit it where the ball was pitched, opposite field. He hit it hard. Like, it was just one of those situations where it was just Derek Jeter, and it was how he played. And there wasn't, like, a big, like, he celebrated, but he didn't celebrate to like
it's one of those
to mock the other team. Like,
Yeah,
he
it's
literally
one of those
rounded
Jeters-
first base and just threw his hands up
yeah,
and looked at his teammates.
it's one of those
like,
Jeter
yes.
celebrations where it's like
Yeah,
you never know what to say.
yeah. It's just hands up in the air, looking at his teammates like, "Yes, come get me."
Yeah, going off of like the Yankee theme, another really good, cool moment that I mean, it would have been cool to watch in person.
Oh man,
Is
I know what you're gonna say.
Mariano Rivera's last time being taken out of a game.
he's one of my favorite players too.
Just because that, I mean,
It was Jeter and Andy Pettitte that came out to get him.
so that, I mean, watching that in person would have been awesome. I mean, obviously as a White Sox fan, for me, I mean, watching Paul Konerko's last game would have been.
Yeah,
I mean, that was one of my all-time.
could you
favorite.
imagine if the Yankees and George Steinbrenner would have like reached out to Metallica or something,
Oh,
and to
God.
and if they would have done like some kind of like Exit Sandman type of
dude,
rendition? Could you imagine like just the chill? Like, I'm just getting chills just talking about it.
dude, I mean,
Oh.
there's a reason why Rivera is.
Enter Sandman.
I mean, in my mind, the greatest closer of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't think it's close. So.
No. I mean, because the only other pitcher you can throw in there would be Trevor Hoffman. But
Yeah,
I mean,
but
don't get me
even
wrong,
then,
he was
it's-
great, but I think that was more because he pitched forever compared
Yeah.
to Rivera just being as
Yeah,
great
Rivera
as
was
he
just a beast. So, but that is our top 5.
Yeah.
That is our podcast.
Very
tonight.
long podcast.
Yeah, I mean, but it's baseball.
It's baseball. Me and you love
we should have
baseball.
known it was
It's
going to go longer than normal.
That's our home.
Yeah, but stay engaged with us. Next week we will probably do it Friday night, Saturday during the day, maybe Saturday. I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see when we can get it done. I'll be going on vacation here soon, so gotta pack all that fun stuff. But
Yeah.
but we will see you guys next time. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Like, subscribe, and tell your friends about us.
I was about to say I was waiting for you to say it.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.